Chapter 718, Settling the Gains. Treasure Map. Underscone, Sister Miaoga, I'm sorry, I didn't intentionally hide many things from you in the past. Lu Changsheng said to Lu Miaoga with an apologetic expression. He could conceal his combat power from others in the marketplace, but obviously he couldn't keep it from Lu Miaoga. Through the recent battle, Lu Miaoga should have noticed a lot. However, since both he and Lu Miaoga practiced the Tai Sheng Shui Ju, Lu Miaoga had long been aware of many things. He just didn't mention them, and she wouldn't have asked. Now, concerning these matters, he naturally wouldn't hide them anymore. It's okay, Changsheng, Lu Miaoga said with a gentle smile. She was well aware that Lu Changsheng's opportunities far exceeded anyone's imagination. If such news were to be leaked, it would be very dangerous. Thinking about Lu Changsheng's situation, where he dared not reveal a hint of his fortune and had to keep it deeply hidden, always treading on thin ice, must have been incredibly hard. With a touch of heartache, she clasped her husband's hand, intertwining her fingers with his. Changsheng, these years must have been very tough on you. If there's ever anything in the future that you find hard to keep to yourself, you can talk to me. We're husband and wife. Lu Miaoga said with eyes brimming with warmth and gentleness. All right, Lu Changsheng said, holding his wife's delicate hand, with a smile on his face. Then, turning to look at the corpses of the sinister men and the several arranged flags, he said, Sister Miaoga, it seems that our harvest tonight should be quite substantial. It's a pity that a few spiritual artifacts were damaged. Lu Miaoga said somewhat regretfully. Even the cheapest spiritual artifact could be worth several thousand to tens of thousands of spirit stones. In this battle, she saw 2 spiritual artifacts get damaged by Lu Changsheng, which pained her. Speaking of spiritual artifacts, Sister Miaoga, you don't have a life-bound spiritual artifact yet. I also forgot about this matter. With tonight's loot, it should be more than enough to craft a few spiritual artifacts for you. Lu Changsheng laughed. The Water of Virtue technique, like the 7 Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture, had its corresponding life-bound spiritual artifacts. However, he had forgotten about Lu Miaoga's life-bound spiritual artifact due to the family affairs. It was only after seeing Lu Miaoga in battle, using only the crossbow and talismans he gave her, that he remembered this matter. He knew that Lu Miaoga didn't have enough spirit stones to buy the materials to craft her life-bound spiritual artifact. I have already started buying the materials to craft the water vase. Lu Miaoga said with a light laugh. The water vase. Lu Changsheng nodded and said, the water vase isn't strong in attack, so forge a Tai Chi talisman along with it, so you can have both offense and defense. Good, Lu Miaoga said with a smile, her lips lightly curved. Let's go, it's time to calculate our gains. Lu Changsheng said to Lu Miaoga with a smile. Soon the two turned into a stream of light and returned to their cavern abode. Sister, Lu Changsheng, are you both okay? Lu Miaohuan immediately came forward with concern when she saw them return, examining Lu Changsheng from head to toe. Of course, we're okay. Sorry for making you worry, Huan. Lu Changsheng said with a gentle smile. Thereafter, he took out various storage artifacts and storage bags and said, Come on, Huan, let's start sorting out the loot. To him, there was nothing more joyful than tallying the spoils after defeating a robber cultivator. Sort out the loot. Seeing that both Lu Changsheng and Lu Miaoga were unharmed, and noticing the storage bags and artifacts, Lu Miaohuan became interested. Immediately, the 3 of them began to tally the spoils of this battle. Wow, so many spirit stones! Lu Miaohuan exclaimed in surprise upon opening a storage bag and seeing the spirit stones inside. Lu Changsheng glanced at it, his mouth twitching slightly. There were about 3,000 to 5,000 spirit stones inside. However, considering that Lu Miaohuan, although being the young lady of the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain and the lady of the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, was nevertheless just a minor cultivator in the Qi refinement realm and hadn't seen much of the world, it was normal for her to make a fuss over seeing so many spirit stones. He chuckled and said, Hee, then you're in for a surprise later. Ah, right Huan, this talisman treasure has a pretty good power, take it for self-defense. As he spoke, Lu Changsheng handed a vermilion bird ring talisman to Lu Miaohuan. He basically had no use for talisman treasures anymore. Plus, he already had a talisman treasure by his side, so he had no use for this vermilion bird ring talisman. A talisman treasure! Lu Miaohuan's eyes shone upon hearing this, and she looked at the reddish-yellow talisman treasure. It depicted a golden ring surrounded by flame patterns, emitting a mysterious and formidable aura. Although she had never seen a talisman treasure, she had heard of their great reputation. She knew that it was made by nascent soul immortals from their own magic artifacts, consuming their origin source to craft, and the power was immensely strong, usable even by an energy refinement cultivator. Did you see it just now? This talisman forms a golden ring of fire and can transform into a vermilion bird divine bird, Lu Changxing explained. This is too precious. A talisman treasure can only unleash its full potential in the foundation establishment stage, so maybe sister should have it instead, Lu Miaohuan said, a bit hesitant. Although she wanted it, she knew the talisman treasure was precious, and giving it to her would not make full use of its power, which would be a waste. Huan, just keep it. I have a talisman treasure too, Lu Miaoga said, looking at her considerate sister with a gentle smile. She took out her bronze spear charm and said softly, Then I'll accept it, thank you husband. Lu Miaohuan said, visibly happy as she accepted the talisman treasure and kissed Lu Changxing to show her gratitude. Hee. Lu Changxing chuckled at the young lattice reaction and began to inspect several items from a storage bag that appeared to be rare. Transforming dragon ginseng, illusion heart grass, blue spiritual liquid. Changxing, these are auxiliary materials for crafting a foundation building elixir, Lu Miaoga suddenly said, looking at the spiritual medicines. Illusion heart grass? Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow upon hearing this. It was the only ingredient he was missing for crafting the foundation establishment elixir, and he didn't expect to find it here. Chapter 719. Settling the Gains. Treasure Map. It seems they were preparing to refine a batch of foundation establishment elixirs. Now they're just short of a heavenly spirit fruit and a special monster core of the second rank, Lu Changxing said with a laugh. With this illusion heart grass, he could start refining foundation establishment elixirs when he got back. If we collect a heavenly spirit fruit or a special second-rank monster core later, we can directly gather all the ingredients for a batch of foundation establishment elixirs. Even if we don't use them ourselves, these few spiritual medicines are also quite valuable. Lu Miaoga said with a smile on her face. Although she was a foundation establishment cultivator and had seen some of the world, she had never had such a bountiful harvest before. The three of them chatted while they sorted through their loot. Red Sun Melting Gold Technique, an exquisite level cultivation technique. Cultivating the Red Sun True Fire, melding with 100 refined pure gold. Black Tiger Overpowering Body, an exquisite level cultivation technique. Infusing body with essence blood of tiger lineage demon beasts, refining the flesh, capable of demonic transformation. Lu Changxing found 2 jade slips inside a brocade box. He knew these must be the cultivation techniques practiced by the red-robed man. He glanced over briefly. The Red Sun Melting Gold technique was quite good. But the Black Tiger Overpowering Body was less so. Although the physical body became strong and domineering, far surpassing ordinary body refinement techniques, the process of refining affected one's nature, blending the essence blood of demon beasts into one's body, and caused one's physique to grow increasingly massive. Setting the brocade box aside, Lu Changxing continued to inspect another brocade box. As soon as this box was opened, a burst of intense heat and a fragrant scent invigorated Lu Changxing's spirit slightly. This fire marrow date? Lu Changxing saw a date-sized item inside the brocade box, resembling a piece of agate on fire. This fire marrow date was an important auxiliary material for refining the coagulation crystal elixir. However, Lu Changxing's recognition of this fire date wasn't because of the coagulation crystal elixir's ingredients. Instead, this fire marrow date was one of the core formation spiritual objects. Consuming it alone could potentially enhance the effect of cultivating fire attribute techniques during the push to core formation. Fire marrow date. This is a core formation spiritual object, somewhat helpful for breaking through to core formation, and also one of the main auxiliary materials for the coagulation crystal elixir. Lu Miaoge was also excited when she saw the agate date. She said to Lu Changxing, "Changxing, you can also start gathering some core formation spiritual objects now and collect the materials for the coagulation crystal elixir." "Hee, there's no hurry," Lu Changxing chuckled and replied, "with this fire marrow date, today's expenditure on talismans has been recouped." He and Lu Miaoge had used a total of 5 supreme talismans of the second rank, 9 middle-grade talismans of the second rank, 27 lower-grade talismans of the second rank, and 81 first-grade talismans in their prior battle. Not to mention Lu Miaoge's single strike with her talisman treasure, the total cost was about 30 to 40,000 spirit stones. Yet, just this one fire marrow date was worth 30 to 40,000 spirit stones. It took the better half of an hour for the 3 to clear out the storage bags of the 6 robber cultivators. Inside, there were 319 middle-grade spirit stones and 23,052 lower-grade spirit stones, 3 supreme spiritual artifacts, 2 superior spiritual artifacts, 3 middle-grade spiritual artifacts, 5 lower-grade spiritual artifacts, and 4 supreme magic artifacts. However, 2 of the supreme spiritual artifacts were the divine fire cover and golden bell of the red-robed man and the bald man, respectively. One was severely damaged by the 9 tribulations divine light, the other was directly battered beyond repair during the chaos of the talisman formation, almost rendered as scrap. The other spiritual artifacts were relatively undamaged, at most having minor wear. Apart from spirit stones, spiritual artifacts, magic artifacts, elixir medicines, talisman, spiritual medicine, cultivation technique inheritances, and a pile of other precious spiritual materials, 1 third-rank purple dragon wood particularly surprised Lu Changxing. This kind of spiritual wood that could be used to make talisman paper was very rare in the usual course of things. Pan-Yuan turning technique. Lu Changxing inspected each jade slip. This was a technique jade slip, admittedly a peripheral sect-level cultivation technique within. However, this cultivation technique, like the Red Phoenix True Scripture he obtained before, could only be cultivated up to the core formation stage. There was nothing further. 2 peripheral sect-level cultivation techniques, both only reaching up to the core formation stage. Is this a coincidence or what? Lu Changxing frowned slightly, deep in thought. Although it could only be cultivated up to core formation, it was still considered a top-tier technique. Counting this peripheral sect-level technique, Lu Changxing had garnered 3 exquisite-level techniques in this haul, as well as a second-rank superior talisman path inheritance and the formation path insights from the effeminate man. Changxing, this seems to be a treasure map related to an ancient relic site. Lu Miaoge, holding an aged and old-fashioned sheepskin scroll drawn on some kind of material, spoke up. A treasure map, an ancient relic site? Lu Miaohuan, present nearby, suddenly piqued in interest at this news, joining her sister to examine the treasure map. Most cultivators in the cultivation world are deeply interested in exploring relic sites, because they all know from what they hear and see that ordinary cultivators must rely on fortuitous encounters. Many explore relic sites for it. It looks like the ancient relic site that the robber cultivator mentioned earlier is this one. But this kind of thing is interesting to look at, there's no need to take it too seriously, Lu Changxing said with a laugh. He had no interest in treasure maps. In his opinion, the least valuable thing was just this kind of treasure map. While it might sound precious, with chances for core formation or nascent soul opportunities within the relics, no one knew the specific value or how to directly obtain it. Once someone set their heart on treasure hunting, not only was there no guarantee of a reward, but it could also bring a torrent of trouble and danger, and one might just end up losing their life for nothing. So that kind of item, let whoever wants it take it. Lu Miaoge nodded gently in agreement when she heard this. Although she was quite interested in treasure maps, she had no intentions of exploring ancient relics. After examining some miscellaneous items, the 3 of them estimated that, excluding items like technique inheritances that were hard to value, the total was worth roughly 200,000 spirit stones. Chapter 720, Settling the Gains. Treasure Map. After estimating the number of spirit stones, Both Lu Miaohuan and Lu Miaoge felt a bit dizzy. Even when tallying up, they already had a rough idea that this haul was incredibly rich. But they never imagined it would be worth so much. You see, the total annual income of the entire Qingzhou mountain is only 20 to 30,000 spirit stones. If you subtract the tribute, family expenses, and so on, the amount of spirit stones saved each year is barely a few thousand. And now, slaying a group of robber cultivators has directly yielded 200,000 spirit stones, leaving the two ladies at a loss for words. Lu Changxing, on the other hand, was relatively calm about this. In his view, the value of these robber cultivators didn't even match their fighting power. But robber cultivators make money quickly and spend it just as fast, so having this much wealth was already quite good. No wonder so many cultivators become robber cultivators, they are just too rich. Lu Miaohuan said aloud, somewhat touched. She came to understand deeply why so many cultivators were willing to risk doing such things. Huan, don't even think about that. If you need spirit stones, just tell your husband. Lu Changsheng chuckled lightly, speaking to his delicate wife in a warm voice. He knew that so many spirit stones would cause a certain shock to his wife. However, in his view, as his wife, she should indeed broaden her horizons and increase her knowledge. Where would I think about such things? It just feels like I'm dreaming. Lu Miaohuan chided Lu Changxing with a glance. Sister Miaoge, keep these spirit stones. Forge your life-bound spiritual artifact as soon as possible, and don't be afraid to spend money. If it's not enough, continue to tell me. Huan, keep these spirit stones and spend more time on your cultivation. Lu Changxing gave Lu Miaoge 30,000 spirit stones and Lu Miaohuan 5,000. All right, Lu Miaoge responded with a gentle and warm expression. Lu Miaohuan, with a face full of happiness, said, "Thank you, husband. Let me see Wanhuan's sincerity." Lu Changxing looked at the delicate wife before him, drew her slender waist into his arms, and then captured her plump, luscious, dewy red lips. The familiar foray made Lu Miaohuan's body tremble slightly, and she hummed softly through her delicate nose. However, she didn't resist Lu Changsheng's actions at all. Her slender and beautiful arms wrapped around his neck, responding gently. Their breaths intertwined, and the sweet fragrance filled the space between them. Sister Miaoge. A moment later, as their lips parted, Lu Changxing called out to Lu Miaoge. Lu Miaoge pouted slightly, her cheeks blushing like the dawn, criticizing in her heart that this bad man was expecting something from her and her sister. But having just been through a battle, she thought to indulge Lu Changxing this time, softly giving an emechim in response. Soon after, a sense of spring filled the air within the cave dwelling. Dawn was just breaking. Lu Yuanzhong, Bai Yunyang, and Patriarch Xing, after receiving a message from Lu Changxing, hastened to the Red Leaf Valley Market. The elder ancestor of the Su family, Su Renguang, also came along with Patriarch Xing. When they arrived at the marketplace and briefly understood the situation from the previous night from their own juniors, all wore faces of utter confusion. 5 Foundation establishment robber cultivators causing trouble in the marketplace? All subdued by Changxing and Sister Miaoge? The battle, it didn't even last a quarter of an hour. The talisman formation, a beam of divine light, beyond astonishing. And 2 talisman treasures appeared. Among these 5 robber cultivators, there was at least one in the middle stage, even late stage of Foundation establishment. This. The 4 were all in disbelief upon hearing this news, but with their own juniors' emphatic claims, they began to half doubt and half believe. Mainly because such an event was too shocking, too incredible to believe. Although Lu Changxing was known to have impressively slain 3 Foundation establishment cultivators on his own. But 3 Foundation establishment cultivators and 5 Foundation establishment robber cultivators are not the same concept at all. Those who become robber cultivators generally do not lack in combat prowess. Moreover, this group of robber cultivators dared to carry out the audacious act of delivering Yuanzhong, with a late-stage Foundation establishment magic aura on the clock, all indicating they were no simpletons. Yet such a group of robber cultivators were easily subdued by Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge, which was simply unbelievable to them. Even if Lu Changxing had a talisman formation, there must be a limit to its power, right? Moreover, Lu Changxing had previously used several hundred talismans on the three elders of the Yu family. Where would he get so many talismans now? Lu Changxing, although a second-grade talisman master, couldn't just make talismans every day. There were other affairs to attend to, not to mention he was also selling talismans to outsiders. All four were puzzled, their faces a picture of bewilderment, as they waited for Lu Changxing to arrive. In a spacious and elegant cave dwelling, wisps of incense rose from the amethyst incense burner, filling the dwelling with a faint, tranquil fragrance, soothing to one's mental spirit. On the jade bed, Lu Changxing was embracing his two wives' snowy white bodies, resting. At that moment, he sensed the jade talisman at his side flickering dimly and brightly, lightly twinkling, indicating that Lu Yuanzhong by Yunyang and others had arrived. Sister Miaoga, it's about time we went over, Lu Changxing said softly, looking towards Lu Miaoga. Lu Miaoga replied with her beautiful eyes lifting softly, shimmering with luster. Huan, you stay home and rest well, Lu Changxing said, looking at the other, Lu Miaohuan, who was as soft as silk, with disheveled hair, lazy and charming. Lu Miaohuan replied lethargically and closed her beautiful eyes again. Immediately after, Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoga got dressed and walked out of the cave dwelling. Although he had gone through a major battle the previous night, he showed no hint of weariness and felt fresh and clear-headed. The two approached the meeting hall of Red Leaf Valley. Upon seeing Lu Yuanzhong by Yunyang, Patriarch Xing, and Su Renguang waiting for him in the great hall, Lu Changxing greeted them with a smile. Uncle, Daoist Su, Daoist by Patriarch Xing. He was dressed in a green robe, handsome and refined, with an air of transcendence, like a noble orchid or a tall and upright tree, serene and detached. Beside him, Lu Miaoga was in a snow-white dress, her face pretty and fresh, her aura as gentle as water. As the two walked shoulder to shoulder into the hall, they looked like a perfect couple. All four gazing at this couple, who seemed like celestial beings, were somewhat dazed, finding it hard to believe that just last night, the two had subdued 5 Foundation Establishment robber cultivators. Chapter 721, Yun Wansheng. If I had brought him back to the Qingyun sect at that time under Su Miaoga, you've arrived, please, take a seat. Lu Yuanzhong rose to his feet, a broad smile on his face as he beckoned the two to sit down. Although he was immensely shocked by Lu Changxing's and Lu Miaoga's martial prowess, his heart was filled with even greater joy. After all, Bai Lake Mountain and Qingzhou Mountain, despite being two separate families, were related in their own way. About last night's incident with the robber cultivators, you all must be clear on it by now, right? Once Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoga were seated, they asked. The events of the night before didn't need to be further explained, as the offspring from the 4 houses in the marketplace, loose cultivators, and other forces would send word back to their families. We've heard bits and pieces. I've heard that last night there were 5 Foundation Establishment robber cultivators causing trouble? Mountain Lord Lu, are these the same robber cultivators who delivered us the bell previously? Lu Daoist, the bell that the robber cultivators sent earlier contained the mana of the late Foundation Establishment stage. What was the power level of these robber cultivators? All 4 nodded and spoke up. Last night a total of 6 robber cultivators caused trouble, 5 Foundation Establishment cultivators and 1 at the peak of Qi refinement. Among them were 2 in the late Foundation Establishment stage. Lu Changxing disclosed without holding back. What? A great cultivator at the late Foundation Establishment stage? There were actually 2 late Foundation Establishment stage robber cultivators last night. This. Hearing this, all 4 faces showed shock, their hearts stirring like tumultuous waves. From the accounts of their descendants, and the incident with the bell delivery, they had vaguely guessed there might be a great cultivator among the robber cultivators active last night. But they had never imagined there would be not just 1, but 2. Keep in mind that among these people, the highest cultivation level belonged to Su Renguang, who was only at the middle stage of Foundation Establishment. A great cultivator at the late stage of Foundation Establishment didn't need to mention their status in Red Leaf Valley. Even looking across the entire Qingyun region, they were considered to have profound cultivation levels. That's because aside from the beast-taming Su family, a noble lineage, and a few families with false core masters, late-stage foundation establishment occupied the first rung on the ladder of power. However, Lu Changxing just announced that among the 5 troublemaking robber cultivators last night, 2 were in the late stage of foundation establishment. Moreover, both late-stage foundation establishment robber cultivators and the 3 foundation establishment cultivators were all slain by him and Lu Miaoge. It was simply too astonishing. All 4 looked at Lu Changxing with shocked faces, hardly knowing what to say. You must be curious about how Miaoge and I subdued the robber cultivators, aren't you? Seeing their expressions, Lu Changxing smiled wryly. For him, such martial feats were hardly worth mentioning. But for Qingzhou Mountain Hundred Birds Lake, and even Yushui Su family, it was indeed quite astonishing. Not to hide from Lu Daoist, Su is indeed somewhat curious. However, if it involves any of Lu Daoist's secrets, there's no need to disclose them. That's right. Senior Su is correct. The 4 now felt a subconscious reverence towards Lu Changxing. Putting aside whether there were actually 2 late-stage foundation establishment robber cultivators among the 5. The mere fact that Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge defeated 5 foundation establishment robber cultivators was enough to command their awe. After all, in the cultivation world, the accomplished lead the way, and cultivation level speaks above all. It's not such a big secret. Plus, after last night's incident, I'm afraid it wouldn't stay hidden for long even if Lu wished to conceal it, Lu Changxing said with a wry smile. I once obtained a talisman formation technique and also a dual cultivation technique. The technique my wife and I cultivate is precisely this dual cultivation technique, not only making our cultivation more efficient by half, but when we are together, our combat strength is unmatched, capable of overcoming those at higher stages. Last night we relied on a secret technique from this cultivation manual to temporarily boost our power to the middle stage of foundation establishment. Then catching those 5 robber cultivators off guard due to their arrogance, we used a combined strike secret technique, surprising them and ultimately subdued them with the help of talisman formation and talisman treasures, Lu Changxing said while holding Lu Miaoge's hand. What happened last night was bound to spread far and wide. Telling these 4 was akin to giving an advanced explanation to the outside world. Dual cultivation technique. Temporarily boosting to the middle stage of foundation establishment? So that's how it was. Those robber cultivators were so rampant, they deserved their fate. We owe a great debt to Mountain Lord Lu and Lady Lu this time. The consequences could have been unimaginable otherwise. Upon hearing this, they all nodded in agreement. Although the reasoning seemed slightly far-fetched. Aside from that, they truly couldn't think of any other explanation. Moreover, in the cultivation world, those capable of fighting beyond their own level, aside from the favored children of the heavens and true inheritors of the immortal sex, were indeed users of such dual cultivation techniques. Lu Changxing had already demonstrated the power to defeat 3 great foundation establishment masters with his talisman formation prowess. Now with this dual cultivation technique, talisman treasures and talisman formations, the explanation was barely plausible. I've heard that the 2 city rulers of the Great Dream Immortal City cultivate such dual cultivation techniques. To think that the 2 of you Daoists have also cultivated such a technique, it is indeed a profound bond of love, enviable to all, Su Renguang said somewhat emotionally. Techniques as formidable as dual cultivation techniques usually have very stringent cultivation requirements. For instance, they may require an intuitive understanding between partners, a perfect matching of minds, or specific constitution types. Yet Lu Changxing, known for having numerous wives and children, managed to practice such a technique with his wife, causing Su much reflection. But learning that Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge practiced such a technique, possessing the battle prowess of the late foundation establishment stage, starting today, not only for his Yushui Su family but even the beast-taming Su family, they would have to reconsider their stance towards by Lake Mountain and Qingzhou Mountain. For the couple had only broken through to the foundation establishment a few years back and already boasted such power. What if the two both advanced to the middle or late stages of foundation establishment? Their combat capability was unfathomable. There could well be foundation establishment cultivators on par with false core or even core formation. The city rulers of the Great Dream Immortal City also practiced dual cultivation techniques. Chapter 722, Yun Wansheng. If I had brought him back to the Qingyun sect at that time, Lu Changsheng's eyebrows raised as he said, he was naturally aware of Great Dream Immortal City, one of the three great immortal cities in Jiang country. However, compared to Jiuxiao Immortal City and Azure Phoenix Immortal City, Great Dream Immortal City was somewhat lacking and much more low profile. Located in the northern reaches of Jiang country, set within Great Dream Marsh, it was not only remote but also had a much harsher environment. It was nowhere near the sanctuary for loose cultivators that is Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Moreover, the city lords of Great Dream Immortal City didn't have a reputation as resounding as that of Azure Phoenix Immortal, the #1 loose cultivator in Jiang country. Indeed, I've heard about this from the elders as well. The two city lords of Great Dream Immortal City are a dual cultivation couple, both in the mid-nascent soul stage, but they cultivate a dual cultivation technique that makes them a match for many cultivators in the core formation late stage. It's precisely because of this that they could establish Great Dream Immortal City. Su Renguang remarked thus. As he spoke, he complimented, perhaps in the future, Lu Mountain Lord and Lady Lu could break through core formation like the two city lords of Great Dream, becoming famous throughout Jiang country. Su Daoist jests. The achievements I have today are already more than I could have hoped for, thanks to fortune and chance. I dare not entertain such lofty aspirations, Lu Changxing said with a wry smile, shaking his head. He didn't continue with the idle chat and instead said with a serious expression, the reason I've summoned you all is to discuss a matter of importance. Although last night's incident with the robber cultivators was contained, it still had a significant impact on the marketplace and requires a plan of action. Moreover, I was thinking we could use this opportunity to hold an auction to slightly increase the fame and foot traffic of our Red Leaf Valley market. Lu Changxing said aloud. As a marketplace established upon a second-rank middle-grade spiritual land, Red Leaf Valley's annual income was noticeably low. Thus, after discussing with Lu Miaoge last night, he thought they could use this chance to boost the reputation and foot traffic of Red Leaf Valley. After all, Red Leaf Valley Marketplace was also a foundation of their family business, and he felt it was necessary to invest effort into it. You can decide on the measures and auction, Changxing. Lu Yuanzhong promptly stated his stance. Nowadays, he increasingly deferred to Lu Changsheng's opinions. After all, Lu Miaoge's foundation establishment was facilitated by Lu Changxing, and his injuries had been treated by both Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge. Even the cultivation technique that now served as the foundation of his Qingzhou Mountain was provided by Lu Changxing. In such circumstances, he naturally knew what he should do. Regardless of Lu Changsheng's actions, he would not mistreat Qingzhou Mountain. That's right, Lu Daoist, you can make the decisions on this matter, Bai Yunyang also promptly remarked from the side. Seeing that both Qingzhou Mountain and Hundred Birds Lake were of the same opinion, Patriarch Zheng of the Zheng family naturally couldn't object. As for Su Renguang, although he had come here and Wugong Ridge Zheng family was a vassal to his Su family, in such circumstances, he couldn't say much either. In the end, they all deferred to Lu Changxing to make the decision. Lu Changxing paused. As for these matters, he had only discussed a rough idea with Lu Miaoge yesterday and had not yet come up with a detailed plan. He then voiced his preliminary thoughts. Compensate for the damage to the commercial street, and implement certain beneficial policies for the entire marketplace, such as entry fees, house rentals, and taxation, among other things. Then, by generating buzz, they would hold an auction in half a year, with the aim of hosting one annually thereafter, to maintain the marketplace's foot traffic and popularity. After hearing this, Lu Yuanzhong, Bai Yunyang, and Su Renguang all made certain additions based on the foundation laid out. Their experiences in managing and growing their families made them more seasoned in this regard. Regarding the shops in the merchant street that were damaged, Compensation would be split according to the four families' ownership stakes in the marketplace. However, considering the heavy toll it took on Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge to suppress the robber cultivators last night, the Bai family and the Zheng family would each take on an extra 10% of the cost. After finalizing the details of the plan and the auction, the matter was brought to a conclusion. As for the specific arrangements and implementation in the marketplace, there was no need for Lu Changxing to worry further. Several days later, as the defensive formation of Red Leaf Valley Market opened, news about the 5 core formation robbers who made trouble in Red Leaf Valley Market and were suppressed by Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge quickly spread to the neighboring family forces and even throughout the entire Qingyun region. Lu Changxing of Blue Lake Mountain, who single-handedly suppressed 3 core formation members from the Yu family and established the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family 3 years ago, has now, along with his wife, suppressed 5 core formation robbers. It's terrifying. Is it true? Could it just be Lu Changxing raising his profile through such means? Right, they are only at the early stage of foundation establishment. How could they possibly kill 5 core formation robbers? Rumor has it that Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge practice a dual cultivation technique and their combat power rivals that of great cultivators in the core formation late stage, and with their combined secret techniques, they can even kill cultivators in the core formation late stage. This previously insignificant son-in-law has grown to such an extent. Talisman formation arts, dual cultivation techniques, apart from false core immortals, it seems that ordinary great cultivators in the core formation late stage would not be a match for this couple, right? The Lu family of Blue Lake Mountain, Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain. I always felt that Lu Changxing had uncommon fortune, already capable of suppressing 3 core formation members from the Yu family using talisman formation arts just after establishing his foundation. To think he possesses such a supreme legacy. It seems the Lu family of Blue Lake Mountain is on the rise. Many surrounding family forces and even loose cultivators were all abuzz with discussions about Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge. This incident also reached Qingyun sect. To have wiped out 5 core formation robber cultivators. And among them were even 2 in the core formation late stage. It's hard to believe that in just a few years, Lu Daoist has grown to such a state. Zhao Qingqing and Han Lin had also received this news and were utterly astounded. They are still in the Qi refinement realm, striving towards foundation establishment. Chapter 723, Yun Wansheng. If I had brought him back to the Qingyun sect at that time, Lu Changxing, however, had already amassed a record of slaying 8 foundation establishment cultivators, causing his reputation to soar within the Qingyun region. Especially Zhao Qingqing, who thought back to the past few years, her visits to Bai Lake Mountain to provide guidance on spirit plants, and her several encounters with Lu Changxing. He was always so gentle and refined, with a peaceful and indifferent demeanor that was as refreshing as a spring breeze, engendering fondness. He bore no resemblance to a mighty mountain master with the formidable power to slay 8 foundation-building great cultivators. My brother-in-law is really extraordinary, Zhao Qingqing mused. Xia Zhaoyang, upon hearing news of Lu Changxing, was also filled with emotion. Although he did not interact much with Lu Changxing, because of his sister, he had paid a lot of attention and knew quite a lot about him. He was unremarkable in his earlier years, but after his breakthrough to foundation establishment, his rise has been meteoric and astonishing. It's been a while since I visited Xingyue and Yunlu. It would be a good opportunity to share this news with them, Xia Zhaoyang thought, intending to check on how his niece and his niece by marriage were doing. After all, as his brother-in-law had sent them to the Qingyun sect, it was only natural for him to take extra care and pay attention to them. Not to mention clinging to Lu Changxing's coattails. Even without that, he felt it necessary to do so, because of the kindness Lu Changxing had shown him and his sister. Qingyun sect, Enforcement Hall. Lu Changxing, Lu Miaoge, dual cultivation techniques, slain 5 foundation establishment robber cultivators, including 2 at the foundation establishment late stage. Yun Wansheng looked at the message in the jade slip in her hand. Within the Qingyun sect's jurisdiction, matters involving robber cultivators are handled by the Enforcement Hall. When the incident involving the robber cultivators being sent to the bell by the 4 major families was reported to the Qingyun sect, she was made aware of it. However, as the Qingyun sect was short-staffed and Xianxia was at by Lake Mountain, she only instructed her subordinates to perform a cursory investigation, not taking it too seriously. She never expected the incident to escalate to such a degree. 5 Foundation establishment robber cultivators, and among them, 2 who were at the Foundation establishment late stage. Even though she, as a nascent soul immortal, did not see Foundation establishment as significant, such combat prowess was undeniable and not to be underestimated anywhere. Yet, these robber cultivators were subdued and killed by Lu Changxing and his wife. Dual cultivation techniques. Dual cultivation techniques. Yun Wanshang gazed at the message in the jade slip, feeling an inexplicable irritability surge within her. She had gradually let go of her thoughts about Lu Changxing, but his actions and deeds kept entering her sight, as if to say that she had misjudged him. The once thought to be a futureless Qi refinement youth was actually a shallow water flood dragon. Now, all his actions were like that of a flood dragon entering the sea, a tiger returning to its mountain. If Yun Wanshang couldn't help thinking, had she taken Lu Changxing directly back to the Qingyun sect at the beginning, whether he would still have achieved this much. If he had achieved this much under her guidance, and they had become Dao companions with her spirit-nurturing energy, he might even have a chance for a nascent soul future. But the more she thought about her spirit-nurturing energy, the more agitated Yun Wanshang became, feeling an intense sense of frustration. With a bang, her palm struck the jade table in front of her, shattering it into dust. Qingyun sect, a golden and splendid grand hall. Lu Changxing, cough cough cough. An old crone with white hair and a wrinkled face looked at the information in her hands, her dim and cloudy eyes showing hatred, her hands as gnarled as pine bark trembling slightly. But the more she read about the martial achievements of Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge, the deeper the sense of powerlessness that gripped Lady Meng. Because of the beast calamity in the Wanshou mountain range, she had come out of Xianyin cave ahead of time to assist the spirit-taming sect in suppressing the beast tide. Having been tasked with redeeming herself through her contributions, she had been leading the front lines, and as a result, she had been severely injured during the beast tide. Already advanced in years with merely over 30 years of life remaining, this serious injury had caused her condition to drastically deteriorate, cutting her lifespan by nearly half. She blamed all of this on Lu Changxing. Yet now, seeing his and Lu Miaoge's record of killing 5 Foundation establishment robber cultivators, including 2 at the late stage, she felt powerless. Because she realized that in her current state, she might not even be a match for Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge. Even if she fought with all her might and could potentially kill the couple, she would suffer a heavy price, possibly even immolation. Alas! A long, forlorn, and powerless sigh echoed in the grand hall. Lady Meng's tightly clenched hands loosened, trembling slightly. Even though she was still capable of fighting, she could not risk everything for revenge. She had a family reliant on her, especially after Meng Yibai's death. To ensure the continuance of her family, she had increased her contributions to its cultivation, eventually producing a promising junior in the past few years. Thus, she had to stay alive as long as possible to stabilize the family. Chapter 724, Su Ruyin. This is my only chance in life. _1 by Lake Mountain. Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Lu Changxing was recounting the events of the Red Leaf Valley Market to Ling Zixiao and Xiaoxia. I didn't expect that the Qi refiner robbery cultivator who fled all those years ago not only made a breakthrough in Foundation establishment but also brought along 4 Foundation establishment robbery cultivators within 10 years, said Ling Zixiao, drinking the spiritual wine brewed by Lu Changxing, somewhat emotional. 5 Foundation establishment robbery cultivators, 2 of which were at the late stage of Foundation establishment, this level of power, let alone in a small place like the Red Leaf Valley Market, even in the Jiuxiao Immortal City, could not be underestimated. In her opinion, this group of robbery cultivators was exceptionally unlucky to have run into Lu Changxing. Had it not been for Lu Changxing, perhaps both the Red Leaf Valley Market and the 4 major families would have fallen into the hands of these robbery cultivators. Compared to Ling Zixiao's calm and indifference, Xianxia was more surprised. She knew that Lu Changsheng had many cards up his sleeve, but she had never imagined that Lu Changsheng's combat prowess could be so astonishing. Yet when she thought about the third-rank talisman, her daughter's pet beast, the Mount Sumeru Tree King, the spiritual eye spring, and so on, she felt somewhat relieved. Indeed, this person must have had quite the fortuitous encounter. In his hands, he not only obtained a talisman treasure but also acquired a peripheral sect-level cultivation method and an ancient treasure map from an ancient relic site. Lu Changsheng said with a laugh, not hiding anything from the two women. A peripheral sect-level cultivation method, treasure map? An ancient relic site? Ling Zixiao was somewhat surprised to hear this. Both a peripheral sect-level cultivation method and chances related to such ancient relic sites are exceedingly rare. Having such items indicated that the man had definitely experienced extraordinary adventures and gained great opportunities. Zixiao, if you're interested, have a look, said Lu Changsheng, taking out the pan-yuan turning technique and the treasure map for the two women to examine. The two women felt a warm current flow in their hearts as they saw Lu Changsheng sharing such rare treasures with them so openly. After examining the cultivation method, Xianxia commented, "This cultivation method is suitable for cultivators with earth attribute spiritual roots. It integrates body refinement and is steady and solid, helping to overcome bottlenecks, ranking it as a top-tier method. The only issue is that the method is incomplete, allowing cultivation only up to the core formation stage. Yes, it's already considered a top-tier method. It would be excellent if someone within the family could comprehend and cultivate it," Lu Changsheng added. He would place these newly acquired cultivation techniques in his family's sutra pavilion, so his children could choose what to cultivate based on their comprehension and spiritual root attributes. If any prodigies emerged, he, as their father, would personally teach them systematic cultivation methods. "Husband, this treasure map seems to indicate a relic located within the Myriad Beasts mountain range," said Ling Zixiao, scrutinizing the treasure map. "The Myriad Beasts mountain range?" Lu Changsheng's eyebrows rose. He had only glanced at the treasure map briefly upon obtaining it and hadn't looked at it in detail. "I'm not particularly interested in this stuff. I'm planning to auction off this treasure map at the market's auction event. I'm sure it will fetch a good price," Lu Changsheng said with a smile. He felt indifferent towards such treasure maps and ancient relic sites, so he planned to sell them for money. In the cultivation world, many cultivators are interested in these kinds of relic sites, and some cultivators even specialize in buying information related to such relics and dungeons, exploring them one by one. "Husband, if you plan to auction it at the Red Leaf Valley Market, getting a good price might be a bit difficult," Ling Zixiao said with a light laugh. She meant that most cultivators in the area were at the early or middle stage of foundation establishment, with fewer loose cultivators. In such a scenario, few people would be willing to spend a lot of money. Additionally, items like treasure maps are typically sold once off. That is, after the auction, they are not easy to sell for a high price. "We'll see about that when the time comes," Lu Changsheng said casually. He was quite laid back about the matter, feeling that as long as it could be sold for a good price, it was fine. Ling Zixiao didn't say more and picked up the pan-yuan turning technique to start reading. Seeing this, Lu Changsheng suddenly remembered that the cultivation technique Ling Zixiao was practicing was an exquisite level technique. Now that her meridians and dantian were gradually healing, she could probably attempt to cultivate in another 3 to 5 years. Although an exquisite level technique was already decent, if his family could afford it, of course, he wanted to provide Ling Zixiao with a more advanced technique. Lu Changsheng considered his current cultivation methods but wasn't sure which one might be suitable for her. Methods like the 7 luminaries and 100 refinements were okay, but not exactly fitting. The yin-yang harmony technique and 99 mystical talisman scripture were clearly unsuitable. The Black Dragon Codex was decent, but Lu Changsheng had his reservations. As for the Tai Shengshui Ju, this technique could only be cultivated one-on-one, and since he and Lu Miaoge were already practicing it, Ling Zixiao naturally couldn't cultivate it. "Let's wait and see, or maybe ask Zixiao herself later on," Lu Changsheng pondered internally, deciding to see if he could later acquire a technique suitable for Ling Zixiao. "Husband, What's on your mind? Ling Zixiao, noticing Lu Changxing gazing at her while seemingly lost in thought, asked softly. Nothing much. I also acquired a second-rank formation path inheritance and insights from that robbery cultivator. Have a look and see if it's useful, Lu Changxing replied nonchalantly, producing the inheritance he had taken from the effeminate man. Although Ling Zixiao was already a second-rank array master, as both a talisman master, an alchemist, a puppet master, a wine master, and a spiritual slaughterer, he clearly knew that each skill was incredibly complex. Unless one had help like himself, it was impossible for inheritances or individuals to cover everything. A second-rank formation path inheritance, insights in formation? Ling Zixiao's face showed a touch of delight as she received the 2 jade slips. Shiyu, come, take a look at these spiritual artifacts and see if there's anything you like. Chapter 725. Su Ruyan. This is my only chance in life. At this moment, Lu Changxing took out several spiritual artifacts and said to Xianxia, when it comes to giving gifts, naturally one should not favor one over another. I already have 2 spiritual artifacts. I won't need these. Xianxia glanced over them and revealed a slight smile, whispering, agreed. Lu Changxing did not insist, knowing that Xianxia was not one to stand on ceremony. He continued, Zixiao, Shiyu, I plan to enter seclusion for a few days in the coming days. Should there be any matters at home or in the Red Leaf Valley market, it'll trouble you to take care of them. Having said this, Lu Changxing was ready to retreat and engage in alchemy. All right, my lord, please rest assured. Ling Zixiao said with a faint smile. If there are any issues at the market, I will go over. Xianxia nodded gently. Good, I'll leave it to you then. Lu Changxing said with a smile. After spending 3 days with his wives at home, Lu Changxing went to the alchemy room and began his seclusion to practice alchemy. Although he had mastered level 2 alchemy, he had yet to prepare foundation establishment elixirs. To be on the safe side and in case any issues arose during alchemy, Lu Changxing also decided to refine a few batches of spirit-nurturing elixirs and wisdom-opening elixirs to get a feel for it. Moreover, after a while, Su Renguang would be delivering 10 green-horned fish and ink jade serpents. He had to refine these 20 demon beasts into Blackwater Dragon spirit weapons, so he needed to prepare some nurturing elixir medicines in advance. A month later, the unadorned and spacious alchemy room. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, Lu Changxing was fully engrossed, looking at the purple cloud pill furnace in front of him, his hands constantly forming spells to control the earth fire with his fire-controlling technique. After an unknown amount of time, seeing the spiritual mechanism enveloping the inside of the pill furnace and strands of medicinal fragrance spreading out, he immediately sent a series of spells into the pill furnace. He then shouted deeply, performing the opening furnace spell, Open! Buzz! The lid of the furnace burst open, rolling steam ascended, and a brilliant glow filled the space. Retrieve! Lu Changxing, seeing the billowing steam, drew the 3 foundation establishment elixirs, radiating with spiritual light, into his palm. The spiritual light on the foundation establishment elixirs gradually faded, revealing 3 lustrous, plump, and warm elixirs with an overflowing medicinal scent. 3 elixirs formed, but only one is a Supreme Foundation Establishment Elixir. The other 2 are merely Premium Foundation Establishment Elixirs. Indeed, the first attempt at making Foundation Establishment Elixirs is still a few degrees short of perfect. Lu Changxing looked at the patterns on the elixir medicines and exhaled deeply. He knew that producing 3 Supreme Foundation Establishment Elixirs was not so easy. Not only did it require exceptional alchemy skills, but the pill furnace and earth fire also had to meet high standards. Nevertheless, 3 elixir medicines with 1 Supreme and 2 Premium, if word got out, it would astonish many, and countless people would come seeking his alchemy services. However, this is enough. The Supreme Foundation Establishment Elixir can increase the probability of successful foundation establishment by more than 30%. By giving this Supreme Foundation Establishment Elixir to Qingzhou Mountain, failure should certainly be avoided, right? Lu Changxing murmured to himself, looking at the Foundation Establishment Elixir in his hand. A premium foundation establishment elixir could enhance the odds of a successful foundation establishment by more than 20%, while the supreme one exceeds 30%. The gap may seem small, but this slight difference in medicinal strength could cause the price of the elixir to surge by several folds. Given that Qingzhou Mountain could only afford success and not failure, Lu Changsheng planned to give the Supreme Foundation Establishment Elixir to Qingzhou Mountain. As for Bai Ling's talent, he felt the Foundation Establishment Elixir was just to ensure an extra measure of success. After placing the 3 Foundation Establishment Elixirs into 3 porcelain bottles, Lu Changsheng walked out of the alchemy room and headed to the Lu family mansion. Husband, half a month ago, the elder ancestor of the Su family came. Lu Miaoyun, seeing Lu Changsheng, immediately showed joy. She informed him that the elder ancestor of the Su family had brought 20 aquatic demon beasts. Since Lu Changsheng was in seclusion, she did not disturb him and directly agreed to the exchange, paying 5,000 spirit stones. Currently, these demon beasts were still in the spiritual pet bag. Good, this was already agreed upon with Patriarch Su, and the price is not an issue, Lu Changsheng said warmly. According to the price mentioned by Su Renguang before, this transaction even rounded up to a whole number, offering a considerable discount. Afterward, Lu Miaoyun expressed that 3 days ago, she had finally made contact with the luminous treasure tree, enabling this precious tree to become her life-bound spiritual plant. Next, she could start refining the luminous treasure tree into her life-bound spiritual root. However, refining a life-bound spiritual root meant once the process began, she could not leave the spirit plant for too long. Therefore, she wanted to take advantage of this time to return to Qingzhou Mountain for a while, to spend some time with her grandmother. Yuner, I'll accompany you in a few days, Lu Changsheng said tenderly, taking his beloved wife's gentle hand, knowing that once she began practicing the heavenly longevity technique, Lu Miaoyun would not be able to leave by Lake Mountain. It just so happened that he also needed to visit Qingzhou Mountain, so he revealed the matter of the Foundation Establishment Elixir. After accompanying his wives and children at home for several days, Lu Changsheng set out for Qingzhou Mountain with Lu Miaoyun and a few children. Since his son Lu Yun had married and taken 2 concubines, who were now both with child, Lu Changsheng allowed him to stay home instead of accompanying them. After all, the son was grown up. There was no need to attend to him as one would a child. Grandmother. Lu Changsheng and Lu Miaoyun arrived at the courtyard of the 4th elder. At the time, the 4th elder was instructing a few Lu family disciples on introductory talisman making. Changsheng, Miaoyun, Little Rain, you are here. The 4th elder immediately greeted them with a smile. Having taken the lifespan extension pill that Lu Changsheng provided, her complexion had greatly improved. Greetings, elder, aunt, and grand-auntie. The Lu family disciples, some calling Lu Miaoyun aunt and others in their teens, calling her grand-auntie, looked at Lu Changsheng with eyes full of respect, admiration, and reverence. These individuals, each with a semblance of talent for talisman making, could be said to have grown up listening to stories of Lu Changsheng. Chapter 726, Su Ruyin. This is my only chance in life. Knowing that Lu Changsheng rose step by step from a son-in-law of the Lu family, starting with talisman making, and became the famous foundation establishment ancestor known throughout the region. Haha, we're all family here, no need for formalities. Lu Changsheng, not one for pomp, waved his hand dismissively. He then had Lu Miaoyun accompany the 4th elder for a chat while he taught a class for these disciples of the Lu family. Changsheng, I appreciate your hard work. The 4th elder's face was full of smiles upon hearing that Lu Changsheng would teach. With his current status and identity, Lu Changsheng still showed such respect to his grandmother, which truly moved her beyond measure. Father-in-law, I have something to discuss with you and uncle. The next morning, Lu Changsheng sought out Lu Yuanding, then they went to meet Lu Yuanzhong, ready to reveal the matter of the Foundation Establishment Elixir. Afterward, the two made their way to Lu Yuanzhong's cave abode. Hearing that Lu Changsheng had something important, Lu Yuanzhong treated the matter with utmost seriousness and asked what it was. Under their gaze, Lu Changsheng produced a white jade porcelain vase. Upon opening the vase, a wave of medicinal fragrance filled the air, revealing an elixir with a crystal-clear hue and faintly laced with 3 silver stripes. Is this? Both Lu Yuanzhong and Lu Yuanding, seeing the elixir in the porcelain vase, were visibly shaken, their eyes reflecting surprise, shock, and delight. Yes, this is a foundation establishment elixir. Lu Changsheng said with a smile, seeing their reactions. Changsheng, where did you get this foundation establishment elixir from? With 3 elixir stripes, this is a supreme foundation establishment elixir. Lu Yuanding and Lu Yuanzhong were immensely shocked. They never expected Lu Changsheng to actually possess a foundation establishment elixir. Although Lu Miaoge had briefly mentioned the foundation establishment of Lu Miaofeng and Lu Muping before, they had indeed not considered the possibility of a foundation establishment elixir. Obtained the materials from a robber cultivator and had it refined by someone. Lu Changsheng explained. Changsheng, you intend to use this foundation establishment elixir for. Although they guessed what Lu Changsheng implied by showing them the elixir, they still found it somewhat unbelievable. Father-in-law, uncle, as you know, Sister Miaoge and I practice a dual cultivation technique. Together our cultivation pace is much faster. So I was thinking, if there is a new foundation establishment in the family, Sister Miaoge would be able to concentrate on her cultivation. Lu Changsheng spoke out. Changsheng, foundation establishment elixirs are incredibly precious. I'm truly touched that you would offer it, but our family doesn't feel we deserve such a gift. Just name a price, and we will gather the spirit stones as quickly as possible. Lu Yuanzhong took a deep breath and said. He was keenly aware that the closer the two families were, the more important it was to be clear about interests, so as to prevent any rifts from forming. Moreover, accepting someone's generosity could put them under obligation. If they took too much advantage, it would not only lower their family status, but those married to Lu Changsheng, like Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaohuan, and Lu Miaoyun, would be affected as well. Well, in that case, 20,000 spirit stones. Lu Changsheng also did not insist and mentioned a price. The usual price for a genuine foundation establishment elixir was 20,000 spirit stones. However, if there was competition at an auction, the price could go up by a bit. And for a supreme foundation establishment elixir, it could even reach 30,000 spirit stones. Lu Changsheng's original intention was to give the elixir away. But after chatting with Lu Miaoge, and now that Lu Yuanzhong had brought it up, it turned into a half-gift, half-sale. How could that be fair? A standard foundation establishment elixir is worth at least 20,000 spirit stones, and yours is a supreme foundation establishment elixir, worth at least 30,000 spirit stones. Our family cannot let you suffer a loss. Lu Yuanzhong immediately shook his head. Uncle, I'm quite aware of the current situation in the family. Besides, Sister Miaoge contributed greatly in our fight against the robber cultivator. Moreover, there's no rush for the spirit stones. You can owe them for now. Lu Changsheng spoke with a light-hearted smile. He knew Qingzhou Mountain's present circumstances. Unless they sold off family assets, they couldn't possibly produce 20 to 30,000 spirit stones. Changsheng, Lu Yuanding looked at his son-in-law, patting his shoulder firmly, his eyes reddening with profound gratitude. Having once served as patriarch of the Lu family, his affection for the family ran deep, and his wish was to see Qingzhou Mountain thrive even more. Now, with Lu Changsheng's aid, not only had his daughter, Lu Miaoge, achieved foundation establishment, but his older brother's injury was also healed. Lu Changsheng even produced a supremely precious foundation establishment elixir, willing to gift it or sell it to them for a low price, which left him at a loss for words. He felt that the best thing he had ever done in his life was to bring Lu Changsheng into the Lu family and to marry his daughter to him. Currently, our children are still young and don't need this foundation establishment elixir. Father-in-law, please accept it. Just be prepared for a bit of effort once someone in the family breaks through foundation establishment. Lu Changsheng continued. He had a bit of self-interest in offering the foundation establishment elixir to Qingzhou Mountain, hoping Lu Miaoge would be at ease staying at Bai Lake Mountain. Changsheng, let's do this. Well, set the price at 30,000 spirit stones, but owe the spirit stones for now. Because currently, our family only has one foundation establishment spirit object, and we still need to procure 2 more suitable ones. Lu Yuanding took a deep breath and stated his decision. With Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge already contributing to the steady rise of Qingzhou Mountain, if another member advanced to foundation establishment, the family's future for 100 years would be worry-free and prospering, naturally leading to a significant increase in income. So, paying back these spirit stones later would be much easier. Agreed. Lu Changxing, hearing this, did not persist. If Qingzhou Mountain really couldn't make ends meet, he could let Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan provide some guidance later on. Changxing, currently only Miaofeng and Muping have the potential for foundation establishment in our family. Who do you think is suitable? Chapter 727. Su Ruyin. This is my only chance in life. At this time, Lu Yuanzhong spoke up and asked. Although he and Lu Changxing were both at the foundation establishment level, he knew that Lu Changxing was clearly at a higher level than himself. I'm not certain about this either, uncle. You can start by purchasing suitable foundation establishment spirit objects, and then make a decision based on them, Lu Changxing said, mulling over it slightly. All right, once we've acquired the foundation establishment spirit objects and are ready to plan for the foundation establishment, we'll discuss it properly, Lu Yuanzhong nodded. After finishing, he continued, Changxing, you and Miaoge are currently in the limelight, and I feel that rushing the foundation establishment process would not be wise. If another member of our family breaks through to foundation establishment, it might negatively impact you and possibly bring about trouble. It may even cause the other families to hold us in awe, Lu Yuanzhong remarked. We will see about that when the time comes. Lu Changxing felt that there was indeed some truth to that. Big brother, now that we have Changxing and Miaoge holding down the fort, we can send Miaofeng or Mu Ping to Qingyun Market for foundation establishment when the time comes. That way, our family's foundation establishment affairs will not be revealed outwardly for the time being. With him stationed at Qingzhou Mountain and with you overseeing the Red Leaf Valley Market, wouldn't that be adequate? Lu Yuanding, standing nearby, voiced his opinion. Seeing the foundation establishment elixir, he had already envisioned the day when Qingzhou Mountain would have 3 foundation establishment experts in residence. Indeed, this is a feasible plan. Lu Yuanzhong also smiled and nodded in agreement. Watching the two of them discussing matters post-foundation establishment, while nothing was set in stone, Lu Changxing did not know what to say. In this way, the 3 of them settled the matter regarding the foundation establishment elixir. After staying at Qingzhou Mountain for nearly half a month, Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoyan returned to Bai Lake Mountain. In the meantime, Lu Miaoge, having gone to Bai Lake Mountain to treat Ling Zixiao, also made a trip back to Qingzhou Mountain. After learning about the foundation establishment elixir, she too was deeply moved. You Shui Su family. Going out to gain experience? No, absolutely not. Su Renguang was beaming as he watched his precious granddaughter tame the heavenly fire mink. But when he heard Su Ruyin wanted to venture out for training, his eyebrows instantly knitted together, and he decisively refused. After all, how could he bear to let such a precious granddaughter go out for training? What if an accident occurred? Su Ruyin was at the 9th level of Qi refinement, and the family had long prepared the foundation establishment elixir and spirit objects for her. Once Su Ruyin reached the pinnacle of Qi refinement, she could attempt the foundation establishment. Grandfather, I was thinking that after gaining experience, I would come back to break through to foundation establishment. Haven't you always said that we cultivators should be brave and diligent, and only through sufficient trials can we achieve greatness in the future? Su Ruyin, with long fiery red hair and dressed in a luxurious golden red outfit, said in a clear tone. No, you can go out for training, but only after breaking through to foundation establishment. Grandfather can let you go out then, but absolutely not now. Su Renguang shook his head repeatedly, earnestly advising, Ruyin, you should just cultivate well at home now, and after breaking through to foundation establishment, Grandfather will arrange for you to go to the Myriad Beasts Mountain Range for training. Our main house has a stronghold in the Myriad Beasts Mountain Range, where our family's youths can train. When that time comes, you can train however you want. When Su Ruyin heard main house, an unfriendly chill suddenly appeared on her exquisitely beautiful face. Ruyin, be obedient. Su Renguang sighed lightly at the sight of his granddaughter's expression. his son had been crippled by someone else, and as a father he was naturally filled with rage. But such matters were legitimate in the clan competition, leaving him without recourse. "I understand, grandfather." Su Ruyan nodded and did not continue to argue. Returning to her own room, Su Ruyan clenched her fists tightly, muttering to herself, "Only by making a pact with a heaven-rank demon beast can I form a beastly Dao foundation and avenge my father. Now the heaven-rank demon beast is right before me, my only opportunity in this lifetime. I must not give up." Hong Lian Elder. Chapter 728, Seed of Law. Xianxia departs. One time flew, and in the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. Thanks to the battle at Red Leaf Valley Market, Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoga had also made a name for themselves, gaining a bit of fame. So, during this period, quite a few loose cultivators and smaller families came to pledge their loyalty. Regarding this, Lu Changxing, Ling Zixiao, Lu Miaoga, and Xiaoxia had a brief discussion. Loose cultivators with a particular skill and a clean family background could be recruited as guest elders to the family. If they didn't have a particular skill, they could sign a servitude contract, a labor agreement. As for vassalage from smaller families, they weren't sought after at all. After all, the current prestige of Blue Lake Mountain was supported entirely by Lu Changxing, Lu Miaoga, and Ling Zixiao. There was no power to expand externally. Such matters had to wait until the family's younger generation reached the energy refinement late stage before they could be sent out to establish a foothold and expand. Besides these two, there were also some female loose cultivators and daughters of small families who voluntarily came to Blue Lake Mountain to serve as slaves or maids, hoping to be noticed by Lu Changxing and marry into the Lu family. After all, the mountain master of Blue Lake Mountain's actions of taking wives, concubines, and fathering children were also widely known. If favored by the Lu ancestor, for many loose cultivators and daughters of small families, it would be like transforming into a phoenix and soaring above the branches. However, most cultivators also had self-awareness and set their sights on the sons and young masters of the Lu family. Over the years, as Lu family disciples like Lu Xinji, Lu Xing, Lu Yun, Lu Feng took wives and concubines, some of the surrounding families and loose cultivators also heard about it. As long as they married into the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, becoming a wife to a Lu family son, they would enjoy the benefits and treatment due to family disciples. Moreover, the mountain master of Blue Lake Mountain strongly encouraged childbirth. As long as a child was born, there would be rewards. If the child tested positive for a spiritual root, there would be additional rewards. All these benefits and treatments were very tempting to many loose cultivators and smaller families. After all, the current reputation and public opinion about Blue Lake Mountain was quite good. Its ancestor, Lu Changxing, was known for his loyalty and righteousness, in the prime of his life with astonishing combat power. As long as there were no accidents, the family could be carefree for 100 years. Moreover, marrying into Blue Lake Mountain not only meant enjoying high-rank welfare benefits and receiving cultivation, but their family could also benefit from some unspoken advantages. For example, the Su family, which had married off a daughter to Lu Xinji early on. Now, some smaller families, out of regard for Blue Lake Mountain, tended to treat the Su family with a bit more politeness and would think twice before taking action against them. Furthermore, not long ago, the Su family obtained some business cooperation through this connection with Blue Lake Mountain. Even though it was just a small business distributing puppets, it was enough to draw envious looks. Alongside these female loose cultivators and marriages, there were also some male loose cultivators and scions of small families who aimed to marry a Lu family daughter and join the Lu family through marriage. Regarding these, Lu Changxing was well aware, knowing that most saw it as an opportunity for profit. Luring people with benefits, how can one expect true loyalty? However, once they've joined my Lu family, then they'll have no say in the matter. Lu Changxing chuckled lightly as he listened to Lu Miao's report. When he first established the family rules, he knew that cultivators would come to his family for the benefits. Female cultivators marrying into his family would enjoy the benefits of Lu family disciples. Male cultivators marrying into the Lu family would also receive Lu family benefits. As for this, Lu Changxing's attitude was simple. As long as you are honest and contribute sufficiently, you won't be shortchanged. However, if you join his family and harbor other intentions, thinking of taking advantage, he would certainly not be polite. During this time, Lu Changxing himself was not idle, managing to impregnate 2 concubines within the household. Worth mentioning, in this period, 2 female cultivators volunteered themselves, hoping to become his concubines. One was at the 9th level energy refinement with a 5th grade spiritual root, stating that as long as Lu Changxing was willing to provide foundation establishment resources, she was willing to serve as his concubine for 20 years and bear 3 children. To this, Lu Changxing told her to get lost. Though the woman had a 5th grade spiritual root, the value of such a spiritual root and cultivation level at White Jade Tower, at most, was 10 to 20,000. He truly didn't understand where she got the confidence to name such a price. Did she believe she had some exquisite treasure to offer? However, another woman called Wan Qing was not bad. 6th level energy refinement, 6th grade spiritual root, and also skilled in a craft called incense making. This woman's request was much simpler. She had wandered the cultivation world for a long time, realizing her prospects were bleak and sought to settle down and live a peaceful life. Having heard that the ancestor of Blue Lake Mountain was incomparably handsome and treated his wives and concubines extremely well, she came with admiration. After a simple background check, Lu Changxing took this woman as a secondary wife. Furthermore, realizing this was a good way to take in concubines, he directly gifted her a high-rank breakthrough elixir so she could break through to the energy refinement late stage. In the future, after she bore 2 children, he would also help her open a fragrance shop. That day, a system notification sound rang out. Congratulations, host, for the birth of 50 offspring from your descendants, awarding 1 lottery chance. 50, finally kind of a windfall, it made me wait quite a while. Lu Changxing, upon hearing the system notification, showed a bit of joy on his face. Ever since he saw that the system granted child money for the 1st and 10th grandchild, but then saw no further grants, he had felt somewhat disheartened. Fortunately, the child money from the system finally came through. Knowing that the achievements in this realm through his children's offspring would be much higher than his own. But this pace is pretty fast. When I was diligent in fathering 50 children, it took me over 7 years. But now, the kids only took 4 years. Lu Changxing remarked. Moreover, the fact that it took only just over 4 years was with few age-appropriate children being married off early. Now, as time passes and more of the children age, more and more are starting to marry, and this snowball will only gather momentum fast. Chapter 729. Seed of Law. Xianxia departs. Although there were many children, the aspect of spiritual roots was somewhat disappointing. In the entire generation of grandchildren, so far only 2 children possessed spiritual roots. One of them was recently born to a concubine of his son, Lu Yun. Therefore, in this regard, Lu Changxing knew that they could only rely on those children in the family who had spiritual roots. But not many of these children with spiritual roots were currently married. His sons Lu Pingan, Lu Chuanjin, and his daughters Lu Rui, Lu Xiaoru, all had no plans of marrying yet. Although his elderly father was willing to urge them, the children would definitely agree, but he was not going to force his children to marry and have children just for the sake of sweepstakes. System, draw a lottery. Lu Changxing went to the study and silently chanted in his mind. Instantly, the system lottery wheel appeared. A golden light began to spin along with it. Before long, the golden light stopped on the other category. Ding! Congratulations to the host on obtaining a Seed of Law, Sword Charging Bull's Might. The reward has been issued to the system space. The host can check it at any time. A pale golden halo of a sword pattern appeared along with the system's notification sound. Seed of Law, Sword Charging Bull's Might? What is this? Lu Changxing raised his eyebrows upon seeing the reward he had drawn. In his many years in the cultivation world, he had never heard of something like a Seed of Law. Immediately, with a slight movement of his mental spirit, he checked the Seed of Law in the system. Seed of Law, Sword Charging Bull's Might. Rank, 4th rank. Explanation. When the light of the sun and moon shines, the treasure sword charges at the bull, the recipient's natural sword Dao talent increases, sword Qi is sharp and domineering, swallowing the stars, fearless and defiant, with a proud and unyielding spirit, 4th rank. Enhances sword Dao talent, sharp sword Qi, swallowing stars? Can this seed of law enhance a person's talent? Lu Changsheng was surprised as he looked at the seed of law before him. He knew that in the cultivation world, anything that could improve or enhance someone else's talent was extremely rare. This seed of law before him could enhance sword Dao talent, and with a rank of 4th rank, it was clearly extraordinary. Lu Changsheng's spirit stirred slightly as he extracted the seed of law from the system space to examine its detailed effects. Immediately, a pale golden light, the size of a thumb, appeared before him. About the specific effects of this seed of law, Lu Changsheng became instantly aware. This seed of law had the effects of elevating one's talent, enhancing perception, harmonizing one's nature, improving one's cultivation rank, and filling in any deficiencies. After use, not only is the sword Dao talent enhanced, but future cultivation and comprehension of sword Dao techniques would yield twice the result with half the effort. The whole person would also be subtly influenced by the seed of law, gradually becoming proud and unyielding in nature, fearless and courageous, striving with vigor. If one's personality is naturally aligned with the seed of law, it could maximize its effects. From then on, one could make rapid progress on the path of the sword Dao, and the mana and sword Qi cultivated would be several times more ferocious than that of ordinary people. How does this seed of law resemble the sword bone among the sword cultivators' constitutions? Lu Changsheng thought of the sword bone among the sword cultivators' constitutions as he looked at the effects of the seed of law. In the books he had read, it was written that those born with sword bone would exhibit extraordinary sword Dao talent from the moment they held a sword. When cultivating sword Dao techniques, not only would they progress swiftly, but their power would also surpass that of others. As for temperament, having cultivated the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture, Lu Changsheng could only say many a sword cultivator were so by nature. Because only with such a temperament could one traverse the sword Dao faster and farther. Who should I give this seed of law to? Lu Changsheng looked at the seed of law in his hand, stroking his chin. Although he cultivated the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture, he didn't have much interest in this kind of seed of law. One reason was, he had the system's enlightenment, which made any additional sword Dao talent unnecessary for understanding the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture. Another reason was that this seed of law would subtly influence someone else's nature. He was very clear about his own temperament and had no desire to change it. Therefore, in his view, the seed of law was definitely meant for his children. After all, if the temperament matched, the effect of the seed of law would be quite remarkable. It was like a small spiritual body. Pingan, Xianji, Rui, Chuanjin, Yuna, Lu Xing. Lu Changsheng considered his current children and felt that none were quite suitable. The next moment, he immediately thought of his son Lu Qingshan, who was far away in another country. This son had a Gingjin body constitution, and Lu Changsheng had intended to teach him the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture. However, due to an accident, he was taken in as a disciple by a nascent soul immortal and brought to the Jinyang sect in Yu country. Although this son was mischievous and undisciplined, Lu Changsheng knew that his son was proud and obstinate by nature, with an indomitable spirit in his bones. Overall, he was well suited for this seed of law. I wonder what techniques Qingshan is practicing in the Jinyang sect. Lu Changsheng toyed with the seed of law, murmuring to himself. Although his son's spiritual root was metal-leaning and he possessed a Gingjin body constitution, which was suitable for sword techniques, he did not know which cultivation technique his son's nascent soul master was teaching him in the Jinyang sect. He only knew that his son's cultivation progress was indeed very rapid. He had already broken through to the 4th level of energy refinement. At this rate, before he turned 30, Lu Qingshan would certainly be able to break through to foundation establishment. Once Zishao has fully recovered from her injuries and has finished setting up the Divine Wood Great Formation, I will take a trip to the Jinyang sect. Lu Changsheng took a deep breath and murmured to himself. He had long promised Lu Miaohuan and Lu Miaoge that he would visit Yu country's Jinyang sect to see his children. If his son Lu Qingshan was practicing sword techniques and his temperament remained the same, then in his view, this seed of law could not be more suitable for Lu Qingshan. Jinyang Sect, Tianyuan Peak. Qingshan, why did you get into a conflict with others? In the grand hall, a voluptuous woman in her 30s, wearing a long red dress, spoke lazily. Chapter 730, Seed of Law. Xianxia departs. That bastard dared to bully little Zhua, I'm already being lenient by not killing him. Lu Qingshan, dressed in a golden and white magical robe, clenched his fist inside his sleeve as he spoke coldly. You're only at the 4th level energy refinement, and the other party has reached the 6th level. How could you kill him? Tianyuan, true immortal, looking at her disciple with a wine gourd to her red lips, took a sip with apparent nonchalance and said, Because he doesn't dare to kill me. Lu Qingshan, standing tall and straight before the Tianyuan true immortal, spoke assuredly. Oh, and you're not afraid that killing him would bring trouble? Among sects, it's a grave sin to kill a fellow disciple. Yen Yuan rested an elbow on the armrest, her head propped in her hand, her hair cascading down, and her lush, bare legs crossed as she said with interest. Afraid, but if someone dares to bully my sister as her brother, it's my duty to seek revenge. Lu Qingshan's clenched fist relaxed, and he then said with a smile, Jinyun Peak and our Tianyuan Peak have never gotten along. They are clearly provoking us on purpose. How can you, master, simply stand by and watch? Besides, if I at the Qi refinement 4th level manage to slaughter someone at the 6th level, I'd be bringing honor to our Tianyuan Peak and to you, master. Would you still punish me for that? Lu Qingshan said so. Your temperament really is. Upon hearing this, Yen Yuan cracked a smile, waved her hand and said, All right, they'll take care of this matter. There are plenty of wild beasts on Tianyuan Peak. If you're hungry, you can hunt on the mountain as practice. If you're really starving and can't find any game, you can ask Xiaobai for help. Yen Yuan said so. Yes, master, Lu Qingshan bowed in response. All right, off you go, or little Zhua will start worrying again, thinking that I'm blaming you. Yen Yuan shook her head gently and took another sip from her wine gourd. Watching Lu Qingshan leave the hall, she revealed a hint of chill on her otherwise lazy and casually beautiful face. I, Yen Yuan, am often away from the sect and don't manage affairs, but they really think they can bully my Tianyuan Peak so easily. Brother! As soon as Lu Qingshan left the hall, Lu Qingzhu hurried over with concern. Little Zhua, master was just asking what happened. There's no need to worry. Lu Qingshan looked at his sister, immediately showing a carefree smile and ruffling her head as he said, Brother, don't fight with others next time. Does it hurt? Lu Qingzhu looked at Lu Qingshan's somewhat swollen cheek, her eyes red with concern as she spoke softly. It doesn't hurt at all. This time I was a bit off, I couldn't slaughter him. Next time something like this happens, I'll definitely take down that bastard. Lu Qingshan said with an easy grin. It's my fault for being useless, I can't help brother at all, and instead, I'm just a burden. Lu Qing's eyes teared up as she spoke. How could that be? It's a brother's duty to protect his sister. If something similar happens in the future, you must tell me sooner. Don't keep it to yourself, understand? Lu Qingshan said with a gentle smile, lightly flicking Lu Qing's delicate little nose. After spending some time with Lu Qingzhu and telling the young girl to rest, Lu Qingshan ran to the back mountain and shouted towards the sky, Fairy crane, fairy crane. What is it, boy? Soon after, a majestic and handsome crane, over 10 feet tall with fiery red plumage swooped down from the sky. Look, I was beaten up in a fight today, it hurts like hell. Give me some of your divine saliva. Lu Qingshan pointed to the injuries on his cheek and arm and spoke up. Go on, trying to trick this fairy into giving you divine saliva again? Nothing doing. Upon hearing this, the crane spread its wings and took off. Yet, just as it took flight, seeing Lu Qingshan's appearance, it still threw down a small porcelain bottle saying, Fine, fine, here's a bottle for you, boy. Hee, thanks a lot. Lu Qingshan caught the small porcelain bottle and shouted his thanks to the white crane. Half a month later, by Lake Mountain, inside the Lu family mansion, the Hall of Deliberation. This day marked the Lu family's annual family meeting. Lu Changxing sat in the main seat, listening to reports from his wife and children below. This year, the overall situation for Bai Lake Mountain was still in deficit. However, with the family disciples becoming proficient in their trades, and with an increase in the number of spirit farmers, spirit plant carers, fishermen, and beast tamers, the revenue from the spirit fields and fisheries showed steady improvement. The puppet workshop and wine brewing shop had also started to turn a profit, so the overall deficit wasn't large, amounting to a total loss of 6,892 spirit stones. The reason for a deficit of over 6,000 spirit stones was entirely due to the large expenses and outlay for the Lu family disciples. One reason was that the benefits provided to the Lu family disciples were relatively generous. Additionally, the children in the family were gradually getting married. Like my son Lu Yun, who had already married one and brought in 3. Other sons who wished to marry also could mostly take wives with spiritual roots. In such circumstances, the family's expenses had significantly increased. As for these expenses, Lu Changxing had no objections. After all, as long as his children were willing to marry and have children, he would be happy, even if it meant a little more expense. After briefly summarizing the year, Lu Changxing saw that the family was progressing steadily and felt that in another 2 years, he could choose a few of his children to appoint as the family head and elders. In that way, he would be completely free from worrying about these trivial matters. After the family meeting concluded, it was time for Xianxia to return to Qingyun's sect to report back. She had been assigned to situate at Bai Lake Mountain for 3 years, and now that the time was up, she must return to Qingyun's sect. 7 days later, Xianxia said farewell to her daughter Lu Wangshu. She expressed that she had to leave and would come to see her whenever she had time. Mother. Upon hearing that her mother was leaving, Lu Wangshu's eyes immediately reddened, and she cried out sobbingly. Initially, she and Xianxia were not very close. But over these 3 years, aside from her daily meditation times, Xianxia spent most of her time doting on her daughter, indulging her every whim. So now, hearing that her mother was leaving, Lu Wangshu was extremely sad and reluctant to part. Little Wangshu, don't cry. Mother will come to visit you when I have time. Xianxia, seeing her daughter like this, instantly felt a bit flustered. Her beautiful face was filled with confusion as she comforted her. If little Wangshu misses mother, you can also come to see me anytime. Lu Changxing, watching the scene, crouched down and comforted his daughter in a gentle voice. He had long realized why many cultivators were reluctant to start families and have children. It was still manageable during the qi refinement realm. But when a cultivator reached the foundation establishment stage, they may close off to meditate for several months, or even 1 or 2 years. If they reached the core formation stage, this period could extend to several years, or even decades. This also meant there would be no time to accompany their children. Possibly after one meditation session, the children would have grown up, leading to an indifferent relationship between them. Or, due to the lack of guidance, they might develop a problematic character and bring disaster upon themselves. In the case of Xianxia, spending so much time accompanying her daughter was indeed a hindrance to her cultivation. As for himself, his cultivation was completely casual, wholly reliant on consuming pills and exploiting loopholes. Mother, I will miss you. Lu Wangshu, smart and sensible since childhood, wiped the corner of her eyes and spoke quietly. Mother will miss little Wangshu too. Xianxia pursed her lips and spoke, even harboring a thought to continue staying at Bai Lake Mountain to accompany her daughter. Sigh. Lu Changxing watched this scene and was tempted to let Xianxia take Lu Wangshu to Qingyun's sect. But knowing Xiaoxia's personality, she would dote on the child every day if she took her with her, which might severely hinder her cultivation. Moreover, once Xiaoxia returned to her sect, there would be other duties, and she wouldn't have much time to care for the child. Eventually, after a heartfelt farewell between mother and daughter, Xiaoxia departed. It's okay, Daddy is here. Come on, Daddy will take you fishing. Lu Changxing, looking at his daughter who still had somewhat red eyes, said soothingly. Now that Xiaoxia had left, he, as the father, would naturally spend more time with his daughter, helping her move past her sadness as quickly as possible. Daddy, I want to hear a story. Lu Wangshu looked up with her little head and said, All right. Lu Changxing smiled and said, Once upon a time, there was a mountain. On the mountain there was a temple. Inside the temple there was in a marketplace. Hong Lian Sr., I have gathered all the materials required to use the secret divine technique. Can I now stealthily enter By Lake Mountain? Su Ruyan spoke in her mind. By Lake Mountain is merely a second-rank great formation. With my seamless celestial clothes divine technique, sneaking in will not be difficult. However, taking away a heaven-rank demon beast still carries some risk. Are you sure you have thought this through? An ethereal and elegant voice, as gentle as the singing of heaven, echoed in Su Ruyan's mind. Hong Lian Sr., I have thought it through. When I started practicing the beast technique, I was ready. Su Ruyan, with her delicate and stunning beauty, expressed her determination. Chapter 731. Su Ruyan sneaks into By Lake Mountain, Mount Sumerus Divine Light. _1 By Lake Mountain, Alchemy Room. Since Su Renguang had delivered 20 aquatic demon beasts, all of which had been refined into Blackwater Dragon spirit weapons, Lu Changxing had yet another heavy burden added to his daily routine. Every 2 to 3 months, he would need to make a batch of spirit-nurturing elixirs, wisdom-opening elixirs, and ascending dragon elixirs. He felt it was absolutely necessary to hire an imperial alchemist. Otherwise, cultivating Dao soldiers by relying on his own alchemy skills was simply too troublesome. Huff huff huff, dash. At this moment, Lu Changxing was sitting at his desk, holding a third-rank brush in hand, drawing talismans. Due to the demand for talismans by talisman formations, he had always maintained the habit of talisman making. So each time he made elixirs, during his free time, he would draw a few talismans. Lu Wangshu, dressed in a pink and white outfit with 2 buns in her hair, sat squatting next to the alchemy furnace, holding a banana leaf fan that was almost as big as herself, fanning towards the furnace opening. Her delicate, doll-like cheeks reddened by the fiery glow looked exceedingly cute. The sorrow of children comes quickly and leaves just as fast. Additionally, with plenty of playmates of the same age at school, Lu Wangshu quickly moved past the sadness of her mother Xiao Siye's departure. Having heard the day before last that her father Lu Changxing was doing alchemy, she was full of curiosity and wanted to see what alchemy was like. After watching, she claimed that the alchemy masters in the picture books all had fan-bearing children, so she volunteered to be her daddy's fan-bearer to help with the alchemy. Lu Changxing did not refuse his daughter's request. After all, children are playful and interested in new and novel things. Then, Lu Changxing took out a top-grade magic artifact that was impervious to heat and cold from his storage bag and had someone buy a banana leaf fan for her to wave around and play with. Unexpectedly, the little girl actually took to it, and for 3 days straight she did not tire of it. She would run to the alchemy room after returning from school, and also expressed that she wanted to learn alchemy. Wangshu, are you tired? At this time, Lu Changxing had finished drawing the talisman and looked towards his precious daughter. Under the glow of the red fire, her tender little face was roasted red, and beads of sweat damped the hair on her forehead. Though they had magic artifacts that made them impervious to the cold and heat, without mana to activate them, merely carrying them did not provide real protection against the extremes. After all, this fire wasn't an ordinary flame, but earth vein fire. Daddy, I'm not tired. The little girl heard Lu Changxing's words, immediately stood up and vigorously fanned the earth fire a few times, her voice crisp and clear. Hee, the elixir will take a while. Daddy will teach you how to make talismans. Lu Changxing stood up, came to his daughter's side, caressed her head, and used his mana to dispel the sweat and heat from her forehead. Daddy, drawing talismans is too boring. I think it's not as interesting as alchemy or puppeteering. Lu Wangshu said so. In her school, they taught about formations, alchemy, talisman making, puppeteering, beast taming, spirit plants, and so on. But since she ate elixir medicines like candy on a daily basis and played with puppet toys in the family's playground, she was only interested in those 2 subjects. Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing felt a chill in his heart. It would be rather awkward if his daughter had no interest in talisman making. Thinking that youth was the time to cultivate a child's interests and hobbies, and now that his daughter Lu Wangshu was also 8 years old, he should foster her interest in the talisman path. Otherwise, it would be a waste if a talisman path prodigy spent all her time indulging in fishing, and even in alchemy and puppeteering. It simply wouldn't be proper. He took out a stack of spirit talismans and said warmly, "How can drawing talismans be boring? Look at these talismans Daddy drew. They're all very interesting. This talisman can transform into a firebird, this one can whip up a fierce wind, this one can bring down heavenly thunder. Daddy, is there one that can make you fly?" Lu Wangshu, showing some interest upon hearing this, asked out loud. "Yes." Lu Changxing immediately responded, "Come, Daddy will draw you a talisman that you can use to fly." Subsequently, father and daughter sat in front of the desk, with Lu Changxing drawing the flying ascension talisman under his daughter's watchful eyes. When Lu Changxing completed the talisman, he slapped it onto his daughter's body and activated it with his mana, saying, "Now, my dear girl, follow your feelings and control this energy, then you'll be able to fly on your own." Lu Wangshu followed his instructions with interest, and immediately found herself floating gently in the air. However, since she hadn't begun cultivation, she couldn't control the power and kept bumping around clumsily. But with the patient guidance of her father, she gradually got the hang of it and enjoyed herself immensely. Afterward, Lu Changxing began drawing all kinds of interesting talismans like unveiling treasures, showing them to his daughter, who played tirelessly with them. After a long playtime, seeing that there was a hint of weariness in his daughter's eyes and brows, Lu Changxing said warmly, "You're a bit tired, aren't you? Daddy will take you back to rest and sleep." "But the elixir isn't finished yet, I want to stay with Daddy." Lu Wangshu, pointing at the alchemy furnace, said somewhat reluctantly. These past several days, she had come with the wish to see the elixir medicines completed. It will still take quite a while before it's done. Looking at the pill furnace, Lu Changxing estimated that it would take another 2 to 3 hours before the pills would be ready. He rubbed his daughter's little head gently and said, "Why don't you go to sleep first, and when the elixirs are ready, Daddy will call you." "No, I don't want to, I want to be with Daddy, carry me to sleep." Lu Wangshu spoke coquettishly. "You're such a big girl now." Lu Changxing laughed doting, pinching his daughter's little nose. But he still picked her up and took her to the bench nearby, saying, "All right, go to sleep." Curling up in Lu Changxing's arms like a little kitten, Lu Wangshu looked up at him with her bright, doe-like eyes, pitifully saying, "Daddy, I still want a sugar bean." "All right, after eating it, you have to sleep soundly." Chapter 732. Su Ruyan sneaks into by Lake Mountain, Mount Sumerus Divine Light. Lu Changxing's expression was gentle as he took out a bottle of cultivation nurturing elixir and poured out a pill coated with honey, handing it to his daughter. "Daddy, I am going to sleep, you must remember to call me." The little girl ate the elixir, and immediately a sweet smile blossomed, her eyes turning into crescent shapes. After speaking, she obediently closed her eyes. It wasn't long before the child in his arms began breathing evenly. She was obviously a bit tired just now. Lu Changxing watched his daughter sleeping peacefully in his arms, smiled, and continued crafting symbols. The night was deep and tranquil, with a clear moon and a gentle breeze. A few miles from by Lake Mountain, a shadow flashed by swiftly. Elder Hong Lian. The shadow looked at by Lake Mountain under the moonlight, a quiet expanse, and spoke in his mind. "Take out all the materials, and I will cast the seamless celestial clothes divine technique for you." A clear and ethereal voice rang out. Su Ruyan immediately took out the prepared spiritual materials from her storage bag. Buzz, all the materials arose into the air, circulating around Su Ruyan, beginning to melt. They spread like a mist, transforming into a vestment robe that enveloped her entire body. In an instant, Su Ruyan's presence abruptly drew in, without revealing the slightest aura. Her whole being gradually faded into stealth, without a trace to be seen. "With my seamless celestial clothes divine technique, as long as you are careful and do not make too much commotion, even if by Lake Mountain has a nascent soul immortal stationed, it would be difficult to detect your existence," the voice continued. "However, this seamless celestial clothes divine technique can only last for 3 hours. Within these 3 hours, you must take the heaven-rank demon beast and leave the boundaries of By Lake Mountain. The ethereal voice spoke to Su Ruyan. Thank you, Elder Hong Lien. Hearing this, Su Ruyan clenched her fists, her dark eyes ablaze with intense flames. Then she flew swiftly towards By Lake Mountain. Before long, she arrived at the outskirts of By Lake Mountain's great formation. Gazing at the hazy and pristine aura of the formation's spiritual light, Su Ruyan took a deep breath and tentatively reached out her hand. She could sense the profound power of the formation, like an impenetrable wall blocking her path. But at the next moment, a shimmering light enveloped her body, allowing her arm to pass through the By Lake Mountain's great formation as though penetrating water. Truly worthy of Elder Hong Lien, such a technique is astonishing. Seeing this, Su Ruyan was taken aback and then proceeded to pass through the great formation into By Lake Mountain. Phew! Looking at the scenery of By Lake Mountain before her, Su Ruyan exhaled a long breath. Even with Elder Hong Lien's aid, the prospect of infiltrating By Lake Mountain and its second-rank top-notch great formation still made her nervous. Afterwards, Su Ruyan closed her eyes and operated the beast technique, sensing the aura of spiritual beasts, and turned her gaze towards Bai Yun Peak. Elder Hong Lien, I sense that the heaven-ranked demon beast is on the main peak of Bai Lake Mountain. Hong Lien, looking at Bai Yun Peak, felt an inexplicable sense of unease from the mountain. Elder Hong Lien, what's wrong? Su Ruyan noticed something was off with the Hong Lien in her mind. It's nothing, aside from the Great Formation, there might be other measures on this mountain. Be very careful and act quickly, Hong Lien said solemnly. The seamless celestial clothes has already consumed a lot of power when breaking through the formation just now, so in theory, you have only 1 hour left. Although Hong Lien sensed something amiss about the mountain, she could not simply leave because of it. Because Su Ruyan's growth was also pivotal to her future. Only by Su Ruyan contracting with a heaven-rank demon beast and forming a heavenly beast Dao foundation could she have a considerable chance to break through to the nascent soul and allow herself to be revived. I understand, Elder Hong Lien. Su Ruyan nodded rapidly and rushed towards Bai Yun Peak. She had lived in Bai Lake Mountain for 5 days and had already grasped the general situation here. Moreover, she had simulated the plan for this night countless times in her mind. With the seamless celestial clothes, the patrolling cultivators of Bai Lake Mountain failed to notice Su Ruyan's presence. Guided by the hint of the heaven-ranked demon beast's aura from the beast technique, Su Ruyan reached Bai Yun Peak at maximum speed. However, as she continued to follow the scent up the mountain after reaching Bai Yun Peak, the Mount Sumeru tree king on Bai Yun Peak rustled its leaves, which were akin to gold and jade. Inside the Mount Sumeru cave heaven, someone has infiltrated? Ling Zixiao, who was resting, snapped awake upon hearing the words of the Mount Sumeru tree king. She hastily checked the array plate. But the azure water heavenly blue great formation of Bai Lake Mountain was functioning normally at the moment, without any peculiarities. However, the elder Mount Sumeru in front of her would not speak falsely. Could it be that a nascent soul immortal has infiltrated Bai Lake Mountain? Ling Zixiao's elegant visage showed a look of solemnity. The great formation of Bai Lake Mountain is a second-tier top-level great formation. Even nascent soul immortals would have difficulty infiltrating it silently and unnoticed. However, it cannot be ruled out that some nascent soul immortals with certain methods could silently enter within. Just like before with Xiahou Money, the reason he could attack Bai Lake Mountain was also because he had a treasure that could break through prohibitions. Mount Sumeru predecessor, what is the cultivation level of the other party? Ling Zixiao immediately asked the Mount Sumeru tree king. It seems to be energy refining cultivator level? The voice of the Mount Sumeru tree king, clear and ethereal, carried a hint of uncertainty, although it could sense Su Ruyan's traces. But this aura was faint and elusive, making it difficult for even it to capture clearly. Energy refining? Upon hearing this, Ling Zixiao's face showed a moment of shock, her expression etched with incredulity. Had she not known that the tree king before her was not one for jesting, she might have thought the other party was teasing her. How could an energy-refining cultivator infiltrate Bai Lake Mountain silently and without notice? Could the other party have used some kind of secret technique or treasure to sneak into our by Lake Mountain, concealing their cultivation level? Can the predecessors suppress them within the cave heaven? Ling Zixiao said seriously. Although the Mount Sumeru Tree King mentioned the intruder was only an energy-refining cultivator, she did not believe it at all. She suspected it was a nascent soul immortal who had sneaked in using a secret technique, causing even this Mount Sumeru predecessor to fail in pinpointing their exact location. Therefore, at this time, she had to take swift and decisive action to catch the other party completely by surprise. After all, she also knew that within this Mount Sumeru cave heaven, no one could be a match for this Mount Sumeru predecessor unless a nascent soul true lord personally came. And currently in the entire cultivation world of Jiang country, only the Heavenly Sword sect had a nascent soul true lord present. Is that so? It shouldn't be difficult. If the other party is a nascent soul cultivator, the commotion might be quite significant. After hearing Ling Zixiao's words, the voice of the Mount Sumeru Tree King also had a hint of hesitation. Indeed, as Ling Zixiao said, such an elusive aura did not seem like someone from the Qi refinement stage. Were it truly the core formation stage, the suppression through the Mount Sumeru mandala barrier would indeed cause a significant disturbance. A significant disturbance? Upon hearing this, Ling Zixiao immediately took out a yin-yang sensing talisman and informed Lu Changxing of the matter. In the alchemy room, Lu Changxing, who was holding his daughter, furrowed his brow upon receiving the message. His thoughts immediately turned to Xiahou Wu of the Xiahou family. Through the Qingyun sect, he learned that the Xiahou money he had killed was known as Xiahou Wushu, one of the core members of the Xiahou family, and the brother of the fugitive false core, Xiahou Wu. Given the Xiahou family's characteristic of vengeful nature, this Xiahou Wu might have infiltrated by Lake Mountain for revenge. Suppress immediately! Lu Changsheng's divine sense transmitted directly to the Mount Sumeru Tree King. Then he stabilized his sleeping daughter with mana, gently placed her on the long bench, and used a soundproof talisman on her. Next, he sent several spells towards the pill furnace to temporarily seal the elixir medicines, sacrificing their quality, and then stepped out of the alchemy room. At this very moment, Su Ruyin, through her aura, arrived at a courtyard in Baiyun Peak. She saw that in the center of the pond in the backyard, amidst the swirling coldness, a mysterious turtle with an icy blue body was coiled. It was the cold blue dark turtle. Upon seeing this mysterious turtle, Su Ruyin's pupils abruptly contracted to the size of pinpoints. Deep in her beautiful eyes, a fervent desire welled up, turning her dark eyes a fiery red, as if flames were burning within them. Finally, Su Ruyin gazed at the cold blue dark turtle, her lips barely moving. After all the hardship and effort, she was finally in close proximity to a heaven-rank demon beast, and she was overwhelmingly excited. At this moment, the beast's technique within her began to operate involuntarily. However, just then, all of a sudden, under the night sky, atop Baiyun Peak, a golden jade brilliance flooded the area. A glass-like golden light shot towards Su Ruyin like a torrent. A presence surpassing heaven-rank demon beasts. This, could it be, the legendary true spirit? How is this possible? At the moment Hong Lian sensed the aureole of glass-like golden light, she, who was always calm and composed, with a gentle and elegant voice, clear and pure, was taken aback and lost her composure. What true spirit? Su Ruyin heard Hong Lian's voice and also noticed the aureole of glass-like golden light coming from the sky. But before she could react, she felt the world around her spin, and she vanished on the spot. At the same time, the golden jade light at the peak of Baiyun Mountain disappeared without a trace. Baiyun Peak, once again, returned to calm. Chapter 733, Inspector Su Ruyin understood. What is this place? Su Ruyin opened her eyes amidst a dizzying whirl. The scenery before her had completely changed, clearly not within by Lake Mountain. Apart from a majestic palace and a pond, all around and above her was shrouded in gray mist. But in the next moment she felt her entire body restrained, unable to move the slightest bit. Ancestor Hong Lian, where are we? What was that true spirit you just mentioned? Su Ruyin hastily inquired of Hong Lian in her mind. Even though she was mature beyond her years and unusual compared to others, she too was somewhat at a loss in face of such a situation. Moreover, when the divine light fell just a moment ago, even the usually calm and composed ancestor Wang Lin cried out in alarm, visibly shaken, which truly unsettled her. After all, she dared to break into by Lake Mountain to steal a heaven-rank demon beast, relying on this ancestor Wang Lin. This should be a cave heaven treasure, or possibly inside the body of a demon beast. This palace sensed an aura surpassing that of heaven-rank demon beasts during the event just now. It could very well be the legendary true spirit demon beast. Wang Lin stated gravely. Her voice was no longer as ethereal and gentle, now filled with a sense of gravity. Even though she was once a nascent soul true lord and had witnessed countless great scenes, facing such a situation, her heart was also overwhelmed with shock and astonishment. If this situation had occurred within the cave dwelling or clan territory of a nascent soul true lord, she would not have been so astounded. But the problem was that by Lake Mountain was merely a spiritual land owned by a Foundation establishment family. A Foundation establishment family not only had a heaven-ranked demon beast, but also possessed a cave heaven treasure and a true spirit aura, an utterly shocking revelation. Thinking of all the information she had obtained from Su Ruyan regarding Lu Changxing, including how the heaven-ranked demon beast was used as a playmate for the children in the family, she dared not hesitate any longer. She immediately told Su Ruyan, "Girl, we must not stay here long, open your heart and mind." "Yes, Ancestor Wang Lin." Upon hearing these words, Su Ruyan responded immediately. At that moment, Ling Zixiao stepped out of Changxing Hall. She looked toward Su Ruyan, clad in a black bodysuit and immobilized in the air, and demanded sternly, "Who are you?" Boom! Suddenly, a fearsome and majestic magic aura spread from Su Ruyan's body. In the depths of her dark, enticing eyes, two red lotuses emerged, blooming and dyeing her pupils with a fiery red color that made her eyes seem seductively bizarre. Foundation Establishment Early Stage. Foundation Establishment Middle Stage. Foundation Establishment Late Stage. Foundation Establishment Peak. False Core. Boom boom boom. Su Ruyan's mana aura climbed relentlessly. Within a short time, it escalated from the peak of chi refinement to the level of false core, yearning to break free from the constraints binding her and to flee this place. Ha! Ling Zixiao, witnessing this, felt a sudden shock and quickly called out, "Mount Sumaru, Ancestor." Boom boom boom. Immediately within Mount Sumaru Cave Heaven, a terrifying force of heavenly earthly confinement began to descend upon Su Ruyan, causing her body to feel heavy and her mana within to sink like a stone in the sea, unable to circulate even a little bit. True spirit, it really is the aura of a true spirit. We are inside a demon beast. How could this be possible? The mountain master of By Lake Mountain is only at the Foundation Establishment Cultivation. How could there be a true spirit demon beast reigning over this spiritual land? Though this demon beast is not powerful, being merely a youngling, but Su Ruyan, sensing this horrifying demonic power, was full of alarm in her voice. Boom! She didn't dare to think too much, as the mana aura within her continued to surge and escalate, exuding a pressure comparable to core formation, causing Ling Zixiao to feel as if the space around them was solidifying. However, just as the mana aura began to spread, a vast and profound force of heavenly earthly confinement fell upon her, making Su Ruyan feel heavy. All mana, her chi ocean core, everything was suppressed and sealed, unable to circulate at all. At that moment, Wang Lin's heart sank to the bottom of the valley. She knew she had been trapped. This young true spirit was not something she could compare with in her current state. Just then, faint ripples appeared in the void. A handsome young man with an upright figure, wearing a green robe, emerged. Is this an inspector? Lu Changxing arrived at Mount Sumaru Cave Heaven. Seeing the figure in a black bodysuit in the air, he was momentarily stunned. He had thought that Xiaohua had infiltrated their home. But upon seeing the figure immobilized in midair in an X shape, he immediately thought of the Inspector series from a previous life. The figure wore a black bodysuit that wrapped tightly around the body, leaving only the eyes exposed. But this tight outfit perfectly highlighted her curvaceous and attractive figure, especially the entire person, presenting in X shape. Even though her face was not visible, just from the graceful figure alone, she exuded a different kind of allure. My lord, Ling Zixiao, seeing Lu Changxing come over, immediately reported the recent events to him. Mount Sumeru. Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing called out at once. Rip, dash, as Lu Changxing's voice sounded, Mount Sumeru Tree King immediately received the command, and its demonic power surged. Before their eyes, the immobilized Su Ruyan in the black bodysuit ripped apart with a rip. As the black bodysuit shattered, the features of the inspector were revealed. Flaming red silky hair, an exquisitely beautiful face, eyes clear and cold with the appearance of two blooming red lotuses, mysterious and elegant. Her alluring and provocative figure was scantily clad in just a red gold-threaded phoenix-embroidered undergarment, revealing a swath of white jade skin from her slender neck. Below that was the fullness of her bounteous pride. Even through the undergarment, its impressive form was apparent. Smooth and flat belly, with a waist so slender and delicate. At her waist, the underpants could not fully hide the round and ample curves of her behind. And a pair of legs like creamy white jade, long and slender yet strong and firm, proportioned perfectly with her figure. Chapter 734. Inspector Su Ruyan. Ling Zixiao gently caressed Su Ruyan's skin as she spoke. Underneath Ling Zixiao's palm, Su Ruyan felt goosebumps erupt all over her body upon hearing those words. At that moment, she realized that the rumors about Lu Changxing in the outside world were mistaken. The other party was definitely not any kind of gentleman. Otherwise, why would he become Dao companions with such a woman? To think she had just sought help from her, only to find this woman to be even worse than Lu Changxing, a veritable witch, a demoness. Miss Su, are you still unwilling to speak? Hearing Ling Zixiao's words, Lu Changxing's eyes narrowed slightly as he said in a cold voice. He too was pondering how to deal with Su Ruyan before him. As Ling Zixiao had said, since the other party knew about the Mount Sumeru Tree King, she definitely could not be allowed to leave alive. As for killing her? He remembered that the Su Ruyan before him possessed a 4th-grade spiritual root. A female cultivator with a 4th-grade spiritual root would indeed make for a fine breeding partner, a shame to kill. Moreover, following the plot of the inspector, infiltrating and failing, becoming a captive, and then being taken by oneself, that seemed reasonable, didn't it? However, his first priority was to clear up the soul within Su Ruyan. After all, compared to a soul capable of advancing Su Ruyan from qi refinement to core formation, her issue seemed trivial. Just kill me. Su Ruyan continued to speak through gritted teeth. Her face showed the resolute expression of someone resigned to death, exuding an air of nobility and dignity that could not be violated. Hee, does Miss Su really wish for death so earnestly? Lu Changxing laughed lightly, enjoying the presence of a strict and noble young lady like her. If she had submitted to him at first sight, he would have found it boring. While speaking, he lifted Su Ruyan's chin and appraised her. If you behave, perhaps Lu might grant you a way out? You wanted a demon beast, didn't you? If there's one thing Lu has in abundance, it's demon beasts. Look, what's this? Having said this, Lu Changxing slapped the spiritual beast bag and the 6-winged golden silkworm appeared, emanating a brutal and bloodthirsty aura at his side. Don't you desire to seek justice for your father? Are you really content to die here like this? If you're willing to obey, maybe Lu would be willing to avenge you in the future, to help you obtain justice for your father. Lu Changxing's voice was deep and tempting. This, Su Ruyan opened her eyes wide, looking at the 6-winged golden silkworm. Her cultivation technique, beast technique, was sensitive to the aura of demon beasts, allowing her to sense their bloodline potential to some extent. Therefore, through her beast technique, she instantly knew this was a spiritual insect with heaven-rank bloodline potential. Looking at the 6-winged golden silkworm before her and listening to Lu Changxing's words, even though Su Ruyan knew he was deceiving her, her heart couldn't help waver slightly. After all, she was currently facing a desperate situation. And Lu Changxing's words had sparked some hope within her, a desire to survive. because she truly didn't wish to die here. As a child, she was discovered to possess a 4th-grade spiritual root and showed an affinity for pet beasts, exhibiting a remarkable talent for beast taming. She subsequently found an ancient beast taming charm and even received guidance from a senior. Her life was meant to be extraordinary, achieving core formation, even nascent soul, and standing at the peak of the cultivation world. How could she be willing to die here? Girl, adapt to the circumstances. At this time, a pleasant sigh resonated within Su Ruyan's mind. It was the voice of Wang Lin. She knew that facing such a situation, it would be difficult to escape opportunistically using the ancient charm. Moreover, Lu Changxing before her might have already sensed her presence, so she too had abandoned any attempt to hide. Furthermore, based on Su Ruyan's rough introduction about Lu Changxing, the presence of 2 young demon beasts with heavenly grade bloodlines and a young true spirit made her suspect something. Hee. Lu Changxing saw the struggle in Su Ruyan's eyes. He knew she wasn't truly prepared to embrace death. Or rather, Su Ruyan had never imagined she would fail or become a captive on this mission. Since she didn't truly possess the desire to die, everything became much easier to handle. Miss Su, are you here to steal my spiritual beasts? Lu Changxing wore a smile, inquiring in a gentle, refined manner, like that of a modest gentleman. This question was obvious. What he wanted was for Su Ruyan to speak up. Many things happen only once or countless times. Once Su Ruyan spoke for the first time, everything thereafter would become much simpler. Chapter 735. Your grandpa is so beautiful, now he's mine. _1 Su Ruyan gazed at Lu Changsheng's peerlessly handsome features, listening to his voice, gentle as the winter's sun, feeling as though she were basked in the warmth of a spring breeze. Her agitated heart involuntarily calmed down. She felt that Lu Changsheng harbored no blame towards her at all. It was purely a matter of her having done something wrong, and an affectionate elder was patiently instructing her. She knew it was an illusion, that Lu Changxing was employing some technique on her, but she still responded in a soft voice, yes. Seeing this, a hint of a smile appeared in both Lu Changxing and Ling Zixio's eyes. Knowing that Su Ruyan had relented, the matter would be easier to handle. Was it because of the matter with the spiritual beasts that Miss Su observed Lu so intently back at Wugong Ridge Xing family? Lu Changxing continued to speak, his voice smooth as jade, persuasive and gentle. Yes, with Miss Su's family background, surely you aren't lacking in spiritual beasts, right? Didn't Patriarch Su prepare for you the Earth-grade bloodline spirit beast fire python tiger and heavenly fire mink before? Lu Changsheng's face showed a warm smile, as he smoothed Su Ruyan's somewhat disordered fiery red hair, tucking it behind her ear. Her hair felt glossy and soft to the touch, very pleasant to the fingers. Su Ruyan bit her lips until they turned somewhat pale, a struggle evident in her eyes as she said, because I need a heavenly rank demon beast. Though heavenly rank demon beasts are indeed rare, the mysterious turtle spirit beast in Lu's home is merely at the initial stage of 1st grade. Even if Miss Su took it, cultivating it to maturity would take decades, maybe even a century, and during this time, it probably wouldn't be of any help to Miss Su, right? So, why would Miss Su go to such lengths to do this? Lu Changxing continued to inquire. This was the point he found most perplexing. Heavenly rank bloodline demon beasts were indeed rare and precious. But cultivating them was also extremely difficult. Especially the cold blue dark turtle from his family, known to be a turtle-type demon beast, notoriously slow-growing. Su Ruyan, by stealing it, aiming to nurture it to 2nd rank, potent enough to be an ally, would need at least decades. And yet, here she was at the pinnacle of chi refinement, not breaking through to foundation establishment at home, but instead attempting to steal at his place, making him suspect other reasons. Hearing this, Su Ruyan's spirit trembled. She bit her lips tightly and then slowly closed her eyes. The heavenly rank demon beast was linked to her cultivation technique beast technique, her true secret, one she was unwilling to reveal. Miss Su, are you unwilling to speak? Lu Changsheng chuckled, his palm caressing Su Ruyan's smooth cheek and sliding down to her slender neck, saying, it seems this heavenly rank spirit beast must be tied to some other important secret. Could it be related to the mighty soul within Miss Su? Lu Changsheng said this. Under Lu Changsheng's gentle touch, Su Ruyin felt a soft numbness throughout her body, biting her lips to death. But at his words, her pupils shrank sharply, and a look of terror appeared in her beautiful eyes. She had not expected Lu Changsheng to know of the existence of Elder Hong Lian. Compared to the beast technique, Elder Hong Lian was her greatest secret. Aside from herself, not a second person knew of this secret. But now, it had been spoken by Lu Changsheng. A soul within the body? Ling Zixiao, who was nearby, heard this, looked at Su Ruyin's expression, and also showed surprise, contemplating deeply. She had been pondering, how could an energy-refining cultivator's magic aura suddenly rise to rival core formation? Even with some rare artifact, it wouldn't be so exaggerated. Now hearing Lu Changsheng's words, realization dawned on her. To temporarily elevate an energy-refining cultivator's cultivation level to core formation, at least it must be that of a nascent soul true lord, right? Ling Zixiao felt a chill of fear and suspicion. If it weren't for the Mount Sumeru Tree King residing at home, facing such an entity, the consequences would have been unimaginable. It seems, Lu has guessed correctly, hasn't he? Clad in a light blue brocade robe, Lu Changsheng's attractive face wore an inviting smile, as comforting as a spring day, captivating to anyone who looked upon him. No, it's for myself. The cultivation technique I am practicing requires a contract with a heavenly rank demon beast. Su Ruyin opened her eyes, breathing slightly, and said, now that Elder Hong Lian's matter had been sensed by Lu Changsheng, she knew there was no need to hide anymore. She could only hope, after revealing her situation, that Lu Changsheng would, as previously said, spare her. Oh, the cultivation technique requires a contract with a heavenly rank demon beast? Lu Changsheng heard this and frowned slightly. He had not expected there to be such a cultivation technique. Nevertheless, he did not doubt her words. After all, he possessed several peripheral sect-level and orthodox-level cultivation techniques. Knowing that the types of cultivation techniques were diverse and strange, Su Ruyin's must be some sort of beast-taming cultivation technique related to spiritual beasts. Does it mean a contract must be made with a heavenly rank demon beast to break through the realm? If so, that's rather harsh. Could it be, the higher the latent potential of the contracted spirit beast's bloodline, the better the Dao foundation that is condensed, the more solid the basis? Lu Changsheng pondered to himself. He roughly guessed why Su Ruyin hadn't broken through to foundation establishment and was in such a hurry to steal a spirit beast from his place. It was likely related to her advancement from Qi refinement to foundation establishment. For a cultivator, the Dao foundation formed during the break from energy refinement to foundation establishment is of utmost importance. Once the Dao foundation is established, unless one breaks the foundation and starts over, it cannot be reformed or improved. If your Dao foundation is inferior, so are your combat abilities and potential. Even if you later obtain top-tier cultivation techniques, the foundation will still be affected by the quality of the Dao foundation. For average cultivators, this is not a big deal. For them, being able to break through to foundation establishment is already a blessing. But Su Ruyin, who is exceptionally gifted and harbors a mighty soul within her, would certainly take this step very seriously, striving to do her best. Chapter 736, Your grandpa is really beautiful, now he's mine. So that's how it is. Lu Changsheng nodded and said with a smile, let me guess, it must be the bloodline rank of the spiritual beasts that concerns Miss Su's breakthrough at the foundation establishment stage, the quality of her Dao foundation, and her future potential. After all, with Miss Su's talent and fortuitous encounters, the future holds at least core formation, if not nascent soul. How could she be content with using an Earth-grade bloodline spiritual beast to condense her Dao foundation? Therefore, when Miss Su sensed that I possess a heavenly rank bloodline spiritual beast, she thought to obtain a heavenly rank spirit beast through me for her breakthrough, which is why she resorted to such thievery. Lu Changsheng spoke unhurriedly, his face wearing a light smile. Upon hearing this, Su Ruyin was taken aback. She had not expected that by merely mentioning her cultivation technique required a contract with a heavenly rank demon beast, Lu Changxing would guess the general situation of her beast technique. Her lips pursed, she responded coldly, "That's right, so what if it is?" "No, so what, I think it is quite reasonable and normal," Lu Changxing said with a light chuckle. "In the cultivation world, when faced with an opportunity, one must not miss it. One must fight and scramble for it by oneself. Only by doing so can one travel far on the path of cultivation. Miss Zu's actions are not at all improper. It is just that you encountered me, hence your current predicament." Su Ruyan was momentarily stunned by Lu Changsheng's words. She had not expected him to actually approve of her actions. A mix of indescribable emotions surged within her heart. "If it were me, faced with such an opportunity, I would certainly think of a way to snatch it. There's no need for Miss Su to feel embarrassed," Lu Changxing said with a chuckle, pinching Su Ruyan's delicately beautiful cheek. "Is that so?" At these words, Su Ruyan's beautiful eyes revealed a trace of bewilderment. Indeed, the cultivation world is such, where the strong prey on the weak, without reasoning. But deep down, she still knew that this kind of behavior was inappropriate. However, hearing Lu Changsheng's words like this, she felt somewhat less guilty. She even thought that Lu Changxing might not be that bad, quite understanding, and wouldn't be too harsh on her. Perhaps if she cooperated and behaved, he might really let her go. However, the principle remains, "But Miss Su, before committing such an act, you must have been prepared for the consequences, right?" Lu Changsheng's palm slid from her soft and tender cheek down to her slender neck, delicate collarbone, and then to the full pride beneath the golden phoenix lingerie. He then grasped a difficult-to-hold snowy part, letting the rich creamy white jade overflow at his fingertips. Boom! As Lu Changsheng's warm hand assaulted her sensitive spot, Su Ruyan's mind went blank, her gaze somewhat scattered. Although she was mature in mind, she had never experienced such matters between men and women before. Ling Zixio's palm had roamed her body, but as a woman, she could barely endure it. But now, the hand of a strange man tightly grasped her full pride, leaving her mind blank and somewhat at a loss. Her body, though restrained and hard to move, seemed electrified at this moment, her long beautiful legs straight as jade, the toes of her feet tensed. "You said if I behaved, you would let me go," Su Ruyan said with a tremble, lowering her beautiful eyes and enduring the shame. Just a moment ago, her heart had grown somewhat fond and accepting of Lu Changxing. But his current actions completely disrupted her thoughts, and she could no longer converse calmly with Lu Changxing. "That's right, I did say that as long as you behave, I will let you go, and I might even give you a heavenly ranked demon beast to seek justice for your father. But this will depend on whether Miss Su is obedient enough," Lu Changxing said softly in Su Ruyan's ear as he played with the fullness in his hand and leaned in close. Ling Zixiao watched Lu Changsheng's behavior, scolding him with her eyes. She knew Lu Changxing was lustful but would not descend into extreme indecency. Nevertheless, seeing his frivolous actions, they appeared to her as smooth and natural, not at all contrived. "Lu Changxing, just kill me." Su Ruyan, her body tingling, a strong sense of shame erupting from her heart, shouted loudly. She felt she must have been delirious to have believed that Lu Changxing before her was considerate and trustworthy. "Alas, why must you be like this, Miss Su?" Lu Changxing sighed slightly and said, "However, since you wish to die, I will grant your wish." "Poochie!" The next moment, Su Ruyan saw Lu Changxing before her suddenly turn expressionless, and with a swift motion, a flying sword was conjured, beheading her. Blood splattered, and her head rolled to the ground. Her own eyes reflected an unbelievable shock, staring in death. Her consciousness began to blur, and darkness surrounded her. "Ruyan! Little Een!" From within the darkness, she seemed to hear calls. One scene after another appeared before her. Grandpa, father, mother. Su Tiandu. Su Ruyan watched as the scenes unfolded before her eyes. She recalled when she was young and discovered to have a fourth-grade spiritual root and an affinity with pet beasts, swearing to become the pride of her family. She recalled when she was young, seeing her father crippled in the family competition, and vowed to seek justice for him. She remembered after starting cultivation, finding an ancient beast taming charm and receiving guidance from a nascent soul predecessor, aspiring to nascent soul, vowing to become Jiang country's #1 cultivator. But now, all of these turned into nothing more than fleeting dreams. At this moment, Su Ruyan felt an intense desire for survival. She wanted to break free from the abyss of death, to live well and be the pride of her parents, her grandfather, and her family. To seek justice for her father, to become a nascent soul true lord, and to fulfill the promise made with Wang Lin. However, just then, the ancient beast taming charm in her mind flashed with a hint of colorful light, and a cooling sensation surged into her brain. Crush! The surrounding scenes burst like bubbles, shattering into nothingness. Chapter 737. Your grandpa is really beautiful, now he's mine. So that's how it is. Lu Changxing nodded and said with a smile, let me guess, it must be the bloodline rank of the spiritual beasts that concerns Miss Su's breakthrough at the foundation establishment stage, the quality of her Dao foundation, and her future potential. After all, with Miss Su's talent and fortuitous encounters, the future holds at least core formation, if not nascent soul. How could she be content with using an Earth-grade bloodline spiritual beast to condense her Dao foundation? Therefore, when Miss Su sensed that I possess a heavenly rank bloodline spiritual beast, she thought to obtain a heavenly rank spirit beast through me for her breakthrough, which is why she resorted to such thievery. Lu Changsheng spoke unhurriedly, his face wearing a light smile. Upon hearing this, Su Ruyan was taken aback. She had not expected that by merely mentioning her cultivation technique required a contract with a heavenly ranked demon beast, Lu Changxing would guess the general situation of her beast technique. Her lips pursed, she responded coldly, that's right, so what if it is? No, so what, I think it is quite reasonable and normal, Lu Changxing said with a light chuckle. In the cultivation world, when faced with an opportunity, one must not miss it. One must fight and scramble for it by oneself. Only by doing so can one travel far on the path of cultivation. Miss Su's actions are not at all improper. It is just that you encountered me, hence your current predicament. Su Ruyan was momentarily stunned by Lu Changsheng's words. She had not expected him to actually approve of her actions. A mix of indescribable emotions surged within her heart. If it were me, faced with such an opportunity, I would certainly think of a way to snatch it. There's no need for Miss Su to feel embarrassed, Lu Changxing said with a chuckle, pinching Su Ruyan's delicately beautiful cheek. Is that so? At these words, Su Ruyan's beautiful eyes revealed a trace of bewilderment. Indeed, the cultivation world is such, where the strong prey on the weak, without reasoning. But deep down, she still knew that this kind of behavior was inappropriate. However, hearing Lu Changsheng's words like this, she felt somewhat less guilty. She even thought that Lu Changsheng might not be that bad, quite understanding and wouldn't be too harsh on her. Perhaps if she cooperated and behaved, he might really let her go. However, the principle remains, but Miss Su, before committing such an act, you must have been prepared for the consequences, right? Lu Changsheng's palm slid from her soft and tender cheek down to her slender neck, delicate collarbone, and then to the full pride beneath the golden phoenix lingerie. He then grasped a difficult-to-hold snowy part, letting the rich creamy white jade overflow at his fingertips. Boom! As Lu Changsheng's warm hand assaulted her sensitive spot, Su Ruyan's mind went blank, her gaze somewhat scattered. Although she was mature in mind, she had never experienced such matters between men and women before. Ling Zixio's palm had roamed her body, but as a woman, she could barely endure it. But now, the hand of a strange man tightly grasped her full pride, leaving her mind blank and somewhat at a loss. Her body, though restrained and hard to move, seemed electrified at this moment, her long beautiful legs straight as jade, the toes of her feet tensed. You said if I behaved, you would let me go, Su Ruyan said with a tremble, lowering her beautiful eyes and enduring the shame. Just a moment ago, her heart had grown somewhat fond and accepting of Lu Changxing. But his current actions completely disrupted her thoughts, and she could no longer converse calmly with Lu Changxing. That's right, I did say that as long as you behave, I will let you go, and I might even give you a heavenly ranked demon beast to seek justice for your father, but This will depend on whether Miss Su is obedient enough, Lu Changxing said softly in Su Ruyan's ear as he played with the fullness in his hand and leaned in close. Ling Zixiao watched Lu Changxing's behavior, scolding him with her eyes. She knew Lu Changxing was lustful but would not descend into extreme indecency. Nevertheless, seeing his frivolous actions, they appeared to her as smooth and natural, not at all contrived. Lu Changxing, just kill me. Su Ruyan, her body tingling, a strong sense of shame erupting from her heart, shouted loudly. She felt she must have been delirious to have believed that Lu Changxing before her was considerate and trustworthy. Alas, why must you be like this, Miss Su? Lu Changxing sighed slightly and said, however, since you wish to die, I will grant your wish. Poochie! The next moment, Su Ruyan saw Lu Changxing before her suddenly turn expressionless, and with a swift motion, a flying sword was conjured, beheading her. Blood splattered, and her head rolled to the ground. Her own eyes reflected in unbelievable shock, staring in death. Her consciousness began to blur, and darkness surrounded her. Ruyan! Little Een! From within the darkness, she seemed to hear calls. One scene after another appeared before her. Grandpa, father, mother. Su Tiandu! Su Ruyan watched as the scenes unfolded before her eyes. She recalled when she was young and discovered to have a fourth-grade spiritual root and an affinity with pet beasts, swearing to become the pride of her family. She recalled when she was young, seeing her father crippled in the family competition, and vowed to seek justice for him. She remembered after starting cultivation, finding an ancient beast-taming charm and receiving guidance from a nascent soul predecessor, aspiring to nascent soul, vowing to become Jiang country's #1 cultivator. But now, all of these turned into nothing more than fleeting dreams. At this moment, Su Ruyan felt an intense desire for survival. She wanted to break free from the abyss of death, to live well and be the pride of her parents, her grandfather, and her family. To seek justice for her father, to become a nascent soul true lord, and to fulfill the promise made with Wang Lin. However, just then, the ancient beast-taming charm in her mind flashed with a hint of colorful light, and a cooling sensation surged into her brain. Crush! The surrounding scenes burst like bubbles, shattering into nothingness. Chapter 738. Your grandpa is truly beautiful, now he's mine. Su Ruyan suddenly opened her eyes and saw Lu Changxing, who appeared noble and gentle before her. A chill spread through her heart, and she instantly knew that the scene she had just witnessed was an illusion. You woke up so soon? Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow as he looked at Su Ruyan before him. He had just used a third-rank illusion heart talisman on Su Ruyan. He had thought that she would be lost in the illusion, experiencing the pain of life and death, various scenes. Waiting for her soul, vulnerabilities, and flaws to be exposed and shattered in the illusion, her spirit weak, he planned to slowly train her at that point. But he had not expected Su Ruyan to struggle free from the illusion heart talisman so quickly. He realized that it must be the mighty soul within her causing trouble. Otherwise, with Su Ruyan's peak chi refinement cultivation level and her spirit lost, it would have been absolutely impossible for her to break free from a third-rank illusion heart talisman. Miss Su, have the senior within you come out, Lu Changxing said, retracting his smile and speaking earnestly. Knowing the presence of a mighty soul within her, he understood that his little tricks would be of no use against Su Ruyan. It would be better to have this mighty soul show themselves directly. I don't know what you're talking about, Su Ruyan said, biting her lip. Seeing that the senior Wang Lin had remained silent, she realized that even Wang Lin had no solution for this situation. Thus, she did not want to expose the senior Wang Lin prematurely. Does the senior really intend to just watch in silence, hiding and not showing themselves? That really doesn't suit the demeanor of a respected elder, Lu Changxing said indifferently, looking at Su Ruyan. Young lady. A faint sigh resonated in Su Ruyan's mind. She knew that at this moment, she had to meet with Lu Changxing. Senior Wang Lin. Su Ruyan bit her lip tightly. Then she said to Lu Changxing in a feeble voice, I am completely restrained, and Senior Wang Lin cannot show themselves. I see, Lu Changxing said, not expecting the restraint seal of Mount Sumeru to prevent the grandfather inside her from appearing. He immediately had Mount Sumeru slightly release Su Ruyin. Afterward, an ancient talisman the size of 2 fingers, resembling neither jade nor stone and engraved with the pattern of a mystical beast, flew out from Su Ruyin's forehead. Flashes of colorful light surged from the talisman, and countless tiny red points of light appeared. In the empty space, they formed a faint silhouette of a woman in a luxurious red palace gown with golden edges, wearing a bejeweled crown, her face delicate and features perfect. Even though her figure and face were ethereal, making her seem almost unreal, her mere presence commanded a sacred and noble bearing, making her every gesture seem divine. The senior is actually in this form? Lu Changxing looked at Hong Lin in front of him, his eyes revealing surprise and admiration, though his expression remained calm. He had thought that there was an old grandfather within Su Ruyin. He had not expected it to actually be a fairy goddess. He couldn't help but click his tongue inwardly. Was he fortunate enough to have stumbled upon a streak of romantic luck? After capturing the younger, now he had been presented with the elder. Your grandfather is truly beautiful, but soon will belong to me. This mighty soul senior is actually a woman. Ling Zixio's beautiful eyes also showed a hint of surprise and disbelief. She had not expected the mighty soul within Su Ruyin to be that of a woman. Despite her ethereal form, she hid none of her peerless elegance. Her eyes as picturesque as a painting, skin whiter than snow, figure slender, with an air of grace and vitality. Her pupils were red, and her lips very red, red like flames. It gave her an aura of sacred nobility and majesty, making others feel inferior and dare not defile. Ling Zixiao knew that this was the result of a long-cultivated prestige and poise of someone of high status. The senior in front of them was not only powerful, but also held no ordinary position. However, perhaps due to spending too much time with Lu Changxing, she felt no sense of awe in her heart upon seeing this senior. In fact, she even remembered their return trip from Jiuxiao Immortal City to Qinzhou Mountain with Lu Changxing when they ran into Nangong Meili and Meng Xiaochan. Back then, it was also a case of an elder and a younger person, but after encountering her lord husband. What would you like to discuss, young Master Lu? Hong Lin asked softly, her voice cool and enchanting, like the most melodious of sounds. She knew there was no use continuing to hide. Lu Changxing had clearly confirmed her existence and was not bluffing. If she continued to remain hidden, Lu Changxing might employ other methods to force her to appear, so it was better to show herself straightforwardly. There is nothing in particular, I was merely curious to meet the senior living within Miss Su. Lu Changxing spoke calmly and composedly. If they were elsewhere, he would keep his distance from a mighty soul like Hong Lin and prepare defensive measures. But inside Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, with Mount Sumeru there, he felt no fear. Furthermore, Mount Sumeru had indicated that this soul's power was presently restrained and could not unleash its full combat potential. In front of young Master Lu, I cannot lay claim to any notable seniority or wisdom, Hong Lin replied, unable to gauge Lu Changxing's intentions, keeping her tone soft and graceful. I wonder what it would take for young Master Lu to allow me and Miss Su to leave? She continued to inquire with a calmly composed expression. The senior must be aware, entering here, it is impossible for me to let you go, Lu Changxing replied with a light chuckle. However, if the senior wishes to leave this place, it's quite simple. As the saying goes, a good bird chooses the tree it perches in, a wise minister chooses the master he serves. For what reason does the senior choose to remain with Miss Su? Whatever Miss Su can offer you, I believe I can offer the same, and even more. Therefore, as long as the senior is willing to follow me, leaving this place will naturally be a simple matter, said Lu Changxing, a sincere expression appearing on his face. Chapter 739. Your grandpa is truly beautiful, now he's mine. For he didn't know why the old grandpa was following Su Ruyin. But after thinking it over, it was either for the purpose of possession and resurrection, or there were some unfulfilled wishes. Since Su Ruyin could do it, he naturally could do it too. Why not use this method to make the being his own? After all, The woman in the red dress was at least a nascent soul true lord. With a nascent soul true lord grandpa, he feared he could take many shortcuts on his path of cultivation. Moreover, to become a nascent soul true lord, one's talent was undoubtedly extraordinary. If she became the mother of his children, the kids should turn out quite remarkable, right? Although the other party only had a soul, Lu Changsheng thought of the soul fusion resurrection elixir in his system space. This elixir was a 4th-rank elixir medicine, capable of regenerating flesh from bones and reviving a soul as long as the cultivator's spirit had not dissipated. He might be able to subdue this woman by using this elixir as bait. Lu Changxing. When Su Ruyan heard Lu Changxing open his mouth to say a good bird chooses a tree to nest in, a wise minister chooses a lord to serve, she immediately showed an annoyed expression. Though the words were not insulting, it was clear they implied she was not up to par. And for him to undermine her in front of her face was truly distressing and infuriating. Hong Lian did not expect that as soon as Lu Changxing spoke, he would want to subdue her. While Su Ruyan was still not mature enough and had a long way to go, her character, Dao heart, and perseverance were all quite commendable. Furthermore, since the ancient beast-taming charm had chosen Su Ruyan, who had the grace of awakening her, she could not easily abandon her and leave. But if she disagreed, both she and Su Ruyan would be trapped here. If I agree, would Master Lu be willing to let Ruyan go? Hong Lian's voice was ethereal and soft, very pleasant to hear. Senior Hong Lian. When Su Ruyan heard this, her eyes immediately reddened, and she cursed Lu Changxing. Lu Changxing, you are despicable and shameless, actually. But before she could finish her sentence, Mount Sumeru restrained her speech, rendering her unable to speak. Miss Su, it is said that one should aim for higher places and water flows to lower ground. Senior Hong Lian is willing to follow me to spare you. Why can't you offer her a better choice? Don't you think that if Senior Hong Lian follows me, she is obviously better off than with you? Think about it, if it weren't for you trying to steal my spiritual beast, how could you have fallen into such a plight, bringing Senior Hong Lian into this mess with you? Lu Changxing said calmly and indifferently to Su Ruyan. Su Ruyan's face turned ugly and her expression was furious as she listened to Lu Changxing's words. But she was unable to say anything now. And apart from cursing, she didn't know what else to say. Just as Lu Changxing had said, if Senior Hong Lian followed him, she would clearly be better off than with her. If not for her, Senior Hong Lian wouldn't have been in such a dangerous situation. At this moment, her heart was deeply wounded by Lu Changxing. Young lady, Hong Lian looked at Su Ruyan and softly comforted her. Then she sighed towards Lu Changxing. Master Lu needn't say more. I am also aware of the theft of the spiritual beast, and I didn't stop it. Now, Hong Lian has no other desires, only hoping that Master Lu can spare Ruyan. Hong Lian's voice was cool and moving. Letting her go now is naturally impossible. But in consideration of Senior's face, as long as she obediently behaves, my previous promise will stand. Not only will she be spared in the future, but she will also be given a heavenly rank bloodline demon beast to assist her revenge. Lu Changxing said with a smile, his attitude sincere. Hong Lian in front of him was a mighty soul, who in life was at least a nascent soul true monarch. Such status and position were enough for him to show a certain amount of respect. Moreover, he had never intended to kill Ruyan Su. She possessed not only a 4th-grade spiritual root, but she was also considered someone of great fortune and destiny. If such a person could be groomed and subdued to become the mother of his child, it would be a great boost for the family. As for subduing someone, the cultivation world had no shortage of methods, including his Lockhart Gu. However, he wasn't too keen on using the Lockhart Gu on Ruyan Su. For one, the Gu had already reached its limit with Meng Xiaochan and Nangong Meili. If he added one more person to the mix, it might lead to instability. Moreover, men often have a soft spot for women who deeply love them, even if that deep love is the result of certain methods. I, Lu Changxing, never coerce anyone, nor will I use Miss Su's life to threaten a senior. So Senior can take your time to think it over, feel free to make any demands. As long as you are willing to sincerely follow me, I can not only help you resurrect and restore your physical body, but perhaps even help you return to your peak. Lu Changxing looked at Hong Lian, his voice calm and steady as he continued to speak. Hong Lian did not respond. To tell the truth, Lu Changxing's words seemed very sincere to her. Even in her view, following Lu Changxing was not a bad choice. One reason was Lu Changxing's various astonishing performances and the presence of heavenly rank bloodline demon beasts and true spirit demon beasts at home, which truly made her tempted to think more about it. She believed that Lu Changxing was a reincarnation of a mighty being. Moreover, she had a favorable impression of Lu Changxing. It wasn't just because of his facial appearance. And also, this issue was initially their own fault, hers and Ruyan's. Yet Lu Changxing did not pressure them too harshly or do anything excessive. Senior need not rush to reply, you can take your time to consider. By the way, when I mentioned resurrecting Senior, it wasn't just talk. This elixir medicine, named Soul Fusion Resurrection Elixir, is something you should recognize. Lu Changxing took out the Soul Fusion Resurrection Elixir from the system space. This elixir medicine was the size of a dragon's eye, presenting in black and red colors. Its surface was lustrous and full, with white and black energy flowing around it, making it appear exceptionally mystical. Soul Fusion Resurrection Elixir. Upon seeing the elixir medicine in Lu Changxing's hand, Hong Lian's soul trembled, and she couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Amazement that could not be concealed shone in her beautiful eyes. As a nascent soul true lord, she naturally knew the renown of the Soul Fusion Resurrection Elixir. This elixir, ranked 4th rank, even if the nascent soul was shattered and life was extinct, as long as the soul had not dispersed, after ingesting the elixir, one could regenerate flesh from bone and come back to life. Although her current condition was just a remnant soul with neither nascent soul nor a physical body, as long as she could find a suitable body, she could use this elixir to resurrect herself and quickly restore her cultivation level. Soul Fusion Resurrection Elixir? Ling Zixiao and Ruyan Su, upon seeing the elixir medicine in Lu Changxing's hands, also showed surprise. Although they had not heard of the fame of this elixir, seeing Hong Lian's reaction, they could roughly guess the effects of the elixir and its help in Hong Lian's resurrection. Both were shocked, never imagining that Lu Changxing could produce such a rare elixir medicine. Especially Ruyan Su. Reconstructing a body for Hong Lian was part of the promise she had made with her, but such a task, in her opinion, was still extremely far off. At least she had to wait until she reached core formation before she could even start to consider it. But now, Lu Changxing casually produced an elixir that could aid in the resurrection of Senior Hong Lian. This deeply shook her. She felt that what Lu Changxing said made sense. People reach for higher ground and water flows to lower ground. If Senior Hong Lian chose to follow Lu Changxing, it would clearly be 100 times better than staying with her. If she decided to obediently comply and submit to Lu Changxing, perhaps that was not a bad choice either. At this moment, not only was Hong Lian faced with a choice, but Ruyan's heart was also caught in a dilemma. Chapter 740. The Choice of Two Women. _1 Heaven Rank Demon Beast, True Spirit Level Demon Beast, Soul Fusion Resurrection Elixir, Spiritual Eye Spring. This is definitely not something a foundation establishment cultivator could obtain. Even a nascent soul cultivator would not have such an extraordinary opportunity. Moreover, according to what Little Sue said, this person's growth experience can be described as nothing short of legendary. Originally, he was just a son-in-law with a lower-grade spiritual root from a family. But in over 20 years, from a mere mortal, a family son-in-law, he broke through foundation establishment and established a familial dynasty. If it were just that, it might be explicable. After all, the cultivation world never lacks minor figures who rise up from opportunities. But the combination of this person's various deeds and such extraordinary opportunities completely cannot be explained as a minor figure rising through opportunity. Especially the way this person faced me without deference or arrogance, his words filled with confidence. Such a demeanor is certainly not that of an ordinary cultivator. Hong Lian looked at the handsome-faced, slender-framed Lu Changxing before her, looking like an orchid in bloom with elegant demeanor, and remained silent, pondering in her heart. Originally, at the Wugong Ridgesheng family, Through Su Ruyan, she briefly observed and understood Lu Changxing. She then concluded that Lu Changxing had great fortune and secrets. But upon seeing the Mount Sumer Tree King, she deeply suspected that Lu Changxing was the reincarnation of a great power. Because the situation with Lu Changxing simply could not be clearly explained by chance encounters and fortunes. Now, seeing the 4th rank elixir medicine soul fusion resurrection elixir, she was almost certain that Lu Changxing was a great power reincarnated for recultivation. Because other than this reason, she really couldn't think of any other explanations. This person is definitely a great power reincarnated for recultivation. Inside his body, I also sensed a terrifying presence. This presence might just be the backup left over from his previous life, the sealed mana of cultivation within his body that, once in danger, would be released. Hong Lian thought of the terrifying presence she sensed from Lu Changxing, which was faint but there. This presence, she herself didn't know how to describe. She only felt it to be profoundly mysterious and exceedingly terrifying. However, this person's life experience, in a bit over 20 years, fathering over 100 children and establishing a cultivation family, could it be that he really is the legendary Dragon Emperor body, aiming to follow the path of that Saint King of Zhongzhou from the past? It's rumored that the Saint King of Zhongzhou fathered countless progeny, imposing a monarch's hierarchy within the cultivation world, centralizing power within a single family to draw the world's destiny upon one's self and kin. But I have never heard of anyone who could reincarnate for recultivation and decide their own physique, especially such a legendary Daoist body. Could it be that he acquired a new soul to rebuild? But if that's the case, why did he waste so many years in his early life? Hong Lian murmured to herself, continuously pondering, trying to make sense of Lu Changxing's situation. But the more she thought about it, the more mysterious and unfathomable Lu Changxing before her seemed to be, enveloped in a shroud of mist. However, if he truly possesses the Dragon Emperor body, Hong Lian hesitated in her thoughts, considering the effects of the Dragon Emperor body. Knowing that if her suspicions were correct, and Lu Changxing possessed the legendary Dragon Emperor body, then following him would mean becoming akin to his wife or concubine, bearing his children. After all, such a matter would be considered natural and fitting for his great Dao for the legendary Dragon Emperor body. Perhaps, it is precisely for this reason that he proposed to recruit me. Hong Lian paused again in her thoughts, believing that Lu Changxing was indeed sincere in his actions, as she had suspected. I wish to rebuild my body, return to the peak, solve the mysteries of the past, and avenge my grievances. Relying on little Su, the hopes are slim. Moreover, both little Su and I have fallen into this man's hands. Escaping is not an option. If I follow him, I may live another life, unravel the past. Even if I become his wife or concubine, what of it? As a nascent soul true lord, Hong Lian wasn't too concerned whether Lu Changxing was recruiting her because of her beauty. Instead, she immediately weighed the pros and cons. After all, her current situation didn't leave her with many choices. Moreover, following Lu Changxing was a very good choice. Because through all these judgments, Lu Changxing wasn't just any great power reincarnated for recultivation. At the very least, he was a divinity transformation true monarch. Maybe even above the divinity transformation realm. Following Lu Changxing, she might not only be able to revive, return to the peak, and avenge her grievances, but also have the chance to progress further. And if she guessed correctly, and Lu Changxing would, like that Saint King of Zhongzhou, establish his own familial dynasty in the future. Her current choice to follow him, seizing the initiative, could make her at the very least one of the heavenly consorts, if not the empress. It wasn't just Hong Lian. Su Ruyan was also struggling inside at this moment. Although the illusion heart talisman lasted only a moment, it had a significant impact on her psyche. She knew deep down that she was unwilling to die like this, unwilling to accept such a fate. And now, in the hands of Lu Changxing, she probably couldn't even seek death if she wanted to. If not for the face of her senior, Hong Lian, Lu Changxing in front of her might have already mistreated her in ways unimaginable. So she too was struggling with whether to obediently submit and become a servant or slave. After all, only by living is there a future. Submitting to Lu Changxing would not only allow her to survive but also leave this place in the future. She might even gain a heaven-rank demon beast to reclaim justice for her father and become the pride of the family. As for the price, it's just a matter of being humiliated by him, bearing perhaps 10 or 8 children. Such matters, naturally, Su Ruyan found difficult to accept, impossible to accept. Yet she clearly knew that she had no choice in this matter. Chapter 741, The Choice of Two Women. Even if she refused, with Lu Changxing's means, if he truly wished to do so, she feared she would have no choice but to passively accept it. Since that was the case, why not turn passivity into initiative, humiliation into enjoyment? However, even though Su Ruyan consoled herself with such logic, her pride and self-respect nevertheless made it impossible for her to do such a thing. After all, not long ago, she was the cherished direct daughter of the Yushui Su family, carrying great fortune, and with a future that aspired to nascent soul. But at this moment, she was expected to serve as a slave and maidservant, which was too great a fall from grace. This moment gave birth to a strong regret in Su Ruyan's heart. She regretted why she had to carry out such an act, coming to by Lake Mountain to steal spiritual beasts. If she had followed grandfather's arrangements, by now she could have been safely making her foundation establishment breakthrough at home. After successfully establishing her foundation, she could have gone to temper herself in the Myriad Beasts mountain range. Or she could have returned to her family. Now the elder ancestor of the beast-taming Su family had less than 100 years to live, and the family was vigorously nurturing nascent soul seeds. If she were willing to return to her family, she could certainly stand out and smooth her way to core formation. But all these, due to her pride and stubbornness, had become but a fleeting dream. "Senior, take your time to consider," she said. "Once you've made up your mind, feel free to let Mount Sumeru know," Lu Changxing said without urging Wang Lin to make a choice, nor demanding an immediate decision. He put away the soul fusion resurrection elixir and spoke. He then walked towards Changxing Hall with Ling Zixiao. "Thank you, young Master Lu," Wang Lin said, bowing slightly to Lu Changxing. Although she had made up her mind to follow Lu Changxing, she still had some words to say to Su Ruyan. After all, after so many years of being together, she knew Su Ruyan's personality very well. She knew that someone with a stubborn and proud nature like her would not easily obey and submit to Lu Changxing. Yet, she didn't want to see Su Ruyan humiliated, or to simply fade away like a passing fragrance. "Senior Wang Lin, I'm sorry," Su Ruyan said, biting her lip as she faced the senior before her. "Girl," Wang Lin sighed softly. Her ephemeral form then dissipated into numerous tiny red dots, returning to the ancient beast-taming charm. She couldn't remain outside for long in her current state and needed the charm to maintain her soul body. Moreover, now within the Mount Sumeru cave heaven, it wasn't good for her to converse with Su Ruyan in such a state. Entering the ancient beast-taming charm also allowed her to conceal her words. After Wang Lin entered the charm, she had it return to Su Ruyan's sea of consciousness. "Girl, what do you plan to do?" Wang Lin's voice arose, ethereal and gentle. "Senior Wang Lin, I don't know," Su Ruyan said, her entire being enveloped in confusion. Although she was mature beyond her years, she had never experienced any major setbacks since childhood. Faced with such a situation now, she truly didn't know how to cope. "Girl, regarding Lu Changxing, tell everything you know to me," Wang Lin instructed. Even though she planned to follow Lu Changxing, she basically had no understanding of him. The rough information she knew came from what Su Ruyan had told her previously. "Senior Wang Lin, I don't know much about him either," Su Ruyan said softly. She then relayed to Wang Lin all that she knew about Lu Changxing and related matters. Inside Changxing Hall. With Mount Sumeru present, Zixiao, feel free to speak your mind, Lu Changxing said, noticing Ling Zixiao holding her words back, aware she was concerned about Wang Lin overhearing. "There is nothing much, I only wish to inquire about young master's plans for Miss Su of the Su family and Senior Wang Lin," Ling Zixiao said with a light smile. "From what I see, Senior Wang Lin seems to hold a good deal of affection for Miss Su. If young master wishes to tame the senior, arranging for Miss Su might be troublesome." Ling Zixiao had witnessed the entire event and clearly saw that Lu Changxing wanted to tame both Hong Lian and Su Ruyan, or rather, primarily Hong Lian. But to tame Hong Lian, Su Ruyan couldn't be released at the moment, which made arrangements somewhat awkward. We're now the fish on the chopping board, and they're the knife in our hands. Initiative naturally rests with us. Lu Changxing chuckled softly and continued, this senior Hong Lian is at least a nascent soul true lord. Taming her would be beneficial for both us and the family. As for Su Ruyan, as you, Zixiao, mentioned earlier, since she's come into this cave heaven and knows about Mount Sumeru, she can't be allowed to leave. It happens that this cave heaven actually needs a maidservant. If Su Ruyan is willing to obey, what I said earlier can certainly hold true. But if she's unwilling to comply, there's no need to indulge her, and the same goes for Senior Hong Lian, Lu Changxing said calmly. While his nature was carefree and he never coerced others, the fact that both came to his by Lake Mountain to thieve meant his willingness to offer them a chance was already quite generous. If neither of them were to appreciate the gesture, he wouldn't be courteous. In my view, Senior Hong Lian seems already tempted, willing to follow young master, Ling Zixiao observed. It's just because of Miss Su that she's unwilling to make a decision impulsively and leave. After all, in the cultivation world, obligations, grudges, and karma are taken very seriously. Senior Hong Lian resides within Miss Su and is willing to help her, likely due to some karmic entanglement. Therefore, young master, for Senior Hong Lian's sake, it might be fitting to show some leniency towards Miss Su, Ling Zixiao suggested. While she was merely a foundation establishment cultivator with limited exposure, she was well aware that given Lu Changxing's status, even core formation and nascent soul cultivators would be surprised to encounter him. Chapter 742, The Choice of Two Women. Especially that soul fusion resurrection elixir, it's useful for reviving others. In the cultivation world, everyone strives in their practice for the sake of immortality and carefree living, to live life to the fullest with gusto. For a nascent soul true lord who is left with only a spirit, there is probably nothing more tempting than resurrection. And just as Lu Changxing said, people rise to higher positions just as water flows to lower places. Following Lu Changxing is clearly 100 times better than following Su Ruyan. Karmic debts and grudges? Okay, I understand. Now, it's up to that Miss Su to make her choice. Lu Changxing nodded and smiled, understanding the principle, before leisurely chatting with Ling Zixiao. He mentioned that his pill furnace and elixir medicines were still in the process of refinement. In a little while, little Wang Shu should also wake up. He needed to go and watch over her. Go ahead, my lord, your concubine will keep watch here. Hearing this, Ling Zixiao thought to herself that Lu Changxing truly doted on Lu Wangshu. Although Lu Changxing was kind to all the children in the family, she could see that he was clearly more affectionate towards certain ones. This couldn't but make her think of herself. Having been with Lu Changxing day and night for so many years, her relationship with Lu Changxing had long transcended the original bargain of him healing her in exchange for her being his cultivation partner and helping him build the family. She had already developed affection for him over time. So, seeing that Lu Changxing truly liked the children, she also considered whether she should have children with Lu Changxing. After all, over the years, she had come to see by Lake Mountain as home, feeling a sense of belonging and wanting a child for herself. It was only because of physical reasons that she was not suitable for pregnancy and having children at the moment. But now, with the treatment from Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge, she estimated that another 3 to 5 years of recuperation should be enough for her body to recover. By then, she could consider having children with Lu Changxing. Yet, seeing so many children, she sometimes wondered whether Lu Changxing would also show the same affection and favoritism to her own children as he did to Lu Wangshu. Although with her as their mother, her future children would certainly not be at a disadvantage. She too hoped that Lu Changxing as their father would show more favoritism to her children. Lu Changxing walked out of Changxing Hall. Upon seeing Lu Changxing, Su Ruyan, who was restrained in the air, revealed indescribably complex emotions in her beautiful eyes. Then she pursed her lips and called out to Lu Changxing, Senior Lu. Lu Changxing, upon hearing this, looked towards Su Ruyan and raised an eyebrow. He wondered if she had come to a decision? The next moment, Whoosh! An ancient talisman flew out from between Su Ruyan's brows, and as the talisman emitted colorful light, numerous crimson specks appeared, taking on the form of a red lotus. Has Senior Hong Lien come to a decision? Lu Changxing faced the ethereal and peerlessly elegant figure of Hong Lien, his face breaking into a smile as refreshing as a spring breeze. Young Master Lu, if you wouldn't mind, Hong Lien is willing to follow you. Hong Lien, with her slender and graceful figure, came before Lu Changxing and offered a graceful curtsy. Even though Lu Changxing's cultivation was only at the level of foundation establishment, since she had decided to follow him, she adjusted her mindset accordingly. After all, Lu Changxing was the reincarnation of a mighty being starting anew. If she still maintained an air of superiority, it might displease him. Senior Hong Lien. Su Ruyan, seeing Hong Lien behave in such a way, bit her lower lip firmly. In her view, one of the reasons Hong Lien was doing so was for her own sake. Senior Hong Lien is being too polite. Since you are willing to follow me, I, Lu, am naturally most welcoming and honored. Lu Changxing said with a radiant smile, like a genteel gentleman giving others a sense of spring's warmth. Young Master Lu, if you don't mind, from now on, you can call me Hong Lien. It's very inappropriate to call me senior. Hong Lien continued to speak. Although she was many times older than Lu Changxing, she naturally did not dare to act superior in front of him. Lu Changxing was inwardly surprised. He had not expected that the mighty soul and nascent soul predecessor before him would be so easy to talk to. Her attitude was almost excessively pleasant. But since Hong Lien said so, he naturally would not demur. After all, calling the future mother of his children senior did indeed sound strange. Well, though it also had a kind of charm. Fine, since that's the case, I will call you Hong Lien from now on, Lu Changxing said, smiling and nodding. Now that you are willing to follow me, Hong Lien, you may also put forth any conditions you may have. He had always believed in reciprocating respect. If others show respect to him, he would return it manifold. Since Hong Lien was so amenable, he would be likewise. Thank you, young master. Hong Lien felt a touch of gratitude upon hearing Lu Changxing's straightforward approach. After all, although she chose to follow Lu Changxing for the benefits, she did not wish to seem too mercenary by making immediate demands. Chapter 743, Hong Lien's Past, the Effect of Ancient Runes. Under Skun, Hong Lien only wishes for the young master to give Rian a chance, Hong Lien said with a slight sigh. She knew that Lu Changxing couldn't possibly let Su Ruyan go at this moment. In their recent conversation, after gaining a detailed understanding of Lu Changxing's various actions and deeds, she also made some judgments in her heart. She believed that Lu Changxing, this person, shouldn't be some reincarnated old monster from the demon path or heretical path, and that his character was relatively decent. Therefore, she had also done some ideological work with Su Ruyan, preparing her mentally. After all, although now they were trapped in a difficult situation, life was just so, seizing the opportunity could turn a predicament into an opportunity. And Su Ruyan's initiative in calling out to Lu Changxing clearly showed she had made a decision in her heart. Hee. Lu Changxing laughed upon hearing this. Then, with a smile that was not quite a smile, he turned to Su Ruyan and said, "Right now in my cave heaven, I just happen to need a servant girl. In consideration of Hong Lien, as long as she is obedient and performs well, I'll honor all my previous words and will not treat her badly." "Thank you, young master," Hong Lien said, giving a deep bow, and did not continue to speak. "Don't you have any other conditions you wish to ask for?" Seeing this, Lu Changxing's brow arched, thinking that the Hong Lien before him was far too agreeable. Or rather, her attitude was unbelievably accommodating, and the process of subduing her was going too smoothly. Logically speaking, as a mighty soul and a nascent soul true lord, shouldn't she be full of arrogance? But the Hong Lien before him showed not the slightest arrogance and even seemed somewhat humble, which made him somewhat uncomfortable. Hong Lien has not yet made any contributions to the young master. I dare not ask for too much. Moreover, I believe that in the future, the young master will not treat me unfairly, just as the young master promised before, to restore my body and return to the peak, Hong Lien said in an elegant and gentle voice. She was dressed in a gorgeous palace gown, wearing a pearl crown, her face refined and perfect, giving off a sense of sacred nobility. Yet, before Lu Changxing, she was like a servant girl, offering a great sense of accomplishment. "All right, Hong Lian, rest assured, once the time is right, I will restore your body," Lu Changxing said with a nod and a smile. In his heart, he thought, truly worthy of being a mighty soul. This attitude of maintaining a proper balance regardless of the situation made him extremely comfortable, and his favorable impression soared. "By the way, Hong Lian, at your peak, what was your cultivation level, where did you come from, and how did you end up in such a state?" Lu Changxing asked. His purpose in subduing Hong Lian was mainly with the thought of making her his child's mother. But since she was currently in a state of soul without a physical body, she still needed to serve other purposes. Leaving everything else aside, just having Hong Lian with her vision and strength to instruct his children would be very good. At present, the cultivation of his children was primarily overseen by Lu Miaoyun and Ling Zixiao. Although the two of them were capable, honestly speaking, they were not that great. Replying to the young master, "At my peak I was at the 7th level of nascent soul, from the Northern Plains cultivation realm, the Vermilion Bird Palace," Hong Lian said softly. "As for how I ended up in such a plight, originally, my sect's disciples discovered a mysterious cave dwelling, suspected to be the sect ruins of the Feathering Ice Palace from the ancient times. I led the sect's disciples to fully explore and attempt to solve the ruins. The Ice Divine Palace attacked us during this, and in this great battle, we accidentally broke open the ruins' restrictions. As soon as the ruins were broken open, there were countless treasures bursting forth, which made both sides go completely insane, fighting one another. Reflecting on it now, at that time, there was a mysterious force affecting our mental spirit and consciousness. In that battle, I was gravely injured, and for some reason, I didn't think of retreating. Instead of escaping into the great void with my nascent soul, I chose to self-destruct my nascent soul, to die alongside the enemy. But at the moment of my nascent soul's self-destruction, a mysterious power captured my soul. When I awoke, I was inside this ancient beast-taming charm, awakened by the young lady Su," Hong Lian said without hiding anything, slowly explaining how she had fallen to such a state. She still couldn't figure out what had happened to her at the time. Not just her, all the people present at the scene were severely affected, leading to such an intense and devastating battle. Otherwise, not just nascent soul true lords, but even nascent soul immortals, in a battle of equals, wouldn't fight to the death like that. After all, everyone cultivates for Changxing. Once you become a nascent soul immortal, you have a lifespan of 500 years, why would you fight others to the death? So, she also wanted to see if Lu Changxing, this mighty senior, might know what was going on with her situation. Nascent soul 7th level. Northern Plains cultivation realm? Vermilion Bird Palace, Feathering Ice Palace, Ice Divine Palace? Self-destruction of nascent soul? Woke up inside an ancient charm. Upon hearing Hong Lian's words, Lu Changsheng's expression was filled with surprise and disbelief. He had not heard of the Northern Plains cultivation realm, nor of the 3 sects. However, based on their names, he roughly guessed that this Northern Plains cultivation realm must be similar to the Southern Wilderness cultivation realm. As for Hong Lian's cultivation level, nascent soul 7th level, it also surprised him a little. Keep in mind that the number 1 cultivator of Jiang country, Li Duanchuan, was probably only at the early stage or middle stage of nascent soul. Yet the Hong Lian before him was a late-stage nascent soul cultivator. This was quite astonishing. But Hong Lian's experience also made him feel deeply moved. A late-stage nascent soul cultivator, having gone through a battle over a secret realm's ruins to the extent of self-destructing her nascent soul. This was simply outrageous. So that's why, Hong Lian Sr., you have fallen into such a situation. It was only then that Su Ruyan beside him came to know of these matters. Previously, Hong Lian had not disclosed to her why she had fallen to such a state. Hong Lian, is this Northern Plains cultivation realm similar to the Southern Wilderness cultivation realm? Chapter 744, Hong Lian's Past, the Effect of Ancient Runes. Lu Changxing inquired curiously. Upon hearing this, Hong Lian's heart immediately filled with surprise and doubt. She had not expected Lu Changxing to be unaware of the Northern Wilderness cultivation realm. Young master, as a reincarnated great being, how can you not know about the 5 great cultivation realms? Could it be, he is not from the 5 great cultivation realms, but from beyond the 5 domains? But I have never heard that beyond the 5 domains, there are other cultivation continents. However, looking at his reaction, he seems to truly be unaware of this, and even appears very astonished by this information. Could it be? Seeing Lu Changxing looking this way, Hong Lian's thoughts raced endlessly in her mind. She did not continue to ponder further but spoke out to explain to Lu Changxing, "That's right, the Northern Wilderness Cultivation Realm and the Southern Wilderness Cultivation Realm are both part of one of the 4 great cultivation realms. Besides the Southern Wilderness Cultivation Realm and the Northern Wilderness Cultivation Realm, there are also the Eastern Sea Cultivation Realm, the Western Desert Cultivation Realm, and the Central Continent." Hong Lian explained this way. The Eastern Sea, the Western Desert, the Southern Wilderness, the Northern Wilderness, the Central Continent. Lu Changxing nodded thoughtfully upon hearing this. He had just realized how vast the cultivation world actually was. According to what he knew, the Southern Wilderness Cultivation Realm alone consisted of several hundred cultivation nations. Jiang country was but a small corner within the entire Southern Wilderness Cultivation Realm. And apart from the Southern Wilderness, there were 4 other immense cultivation realms. He did not continue to ask further. After all, he was currently at the foundation establishment stage himself and had not even ventured beyond Jiang country cultivation realm, making places outside the Southern Wilderness far too distant for him. Hong Lian, rest assured, should the opportunity arise in the future, I will help solve the mysteries of your past and avenge you, Lu Changxing spoke confidently. Although he was but a minor foundation establishment cultivator, the system by his side gave him the confidence and assurance to say these words to a nascent soul. "Thank you, young master." Hong Lian was influenced by Lu Changxing's calm and self-assured demeanor, momentarily startled, still pondering over Lu Changxing's circumstances. "That's right, it must be so. There are rumors of ancient beings transcending to break through their realm, reincarnating to recultivate their paths amidst the mortals. The young master must be aiming to follow a path similar to that ancient Saint King of the Central Continent, with all memories sealed, reducing the essence of the Dragon Emperor physique and the Tao of the Central Continent's Saint King to instincts, his goals set for this life. Even with the memories sealed, resembling an ordinary cultivator, this temperament and poise are clearly not something an average person could possess. This also clarifies why he lingered so many years in the secular world before. It must be that as the true spirit gradually awakens, he was able to retrieve the measures prepared in the previous life, allowing him to rise steadily. Hong Lian mulled this over in her heart. The more she thought about it, the more it seemed plausible, guessing Lu Changxing's situation roughly. This brought her some joy. After all, serving the master was like accompanying a tiger. Being in the presence of an old monster reincarnated from a great being truly made her anxious. She feared offending him in some way, which might displease Lu Changxing. But if the other had reincarnated and did not possess memories of his previous life, her interactions with him would obviously be much more relaxed. During this time, she could also cultivate feelings with Lu Changxing as much as possible. "Hong Lian, do you happen to possess any skills? What are you proficient in?" Lu Changxing suddenly inquired. Besides the perspective of a nascent soul true lord, which could prevent the household children from deviating in their cultivation journey, he also wanted to see what else Hong Lian knew and could teach. "Young master, I have some understanding of beast taming, formation, alchemy, artifact refining and talisman making," Hong Lian said softly. "Some understanding?" Lu Changxing raised his eyebrows, asking for details. "A 3rd-rank top-tier beast tamer, 3rd-order superior alchemist, 3rd-rank middle-grade array master, 3rd-rank lower-grade artifact refiner, 3rd-rank lower-grade talisman master," Hong Lian stated. As a nascent soul cultivator who had lived for 1,000 years, apart from cultivating, she naturally spent time delving into various skills. Moreover, many skills that proved difficult for Qi refinement and foundation establishment cultivators were much easier for nascent soul cultivators. Lu Changxing? Well played, you got me there. Is this what you call some understanding? In that moment, Lu Changxing couldn't help but feel impressed, truly worthy of a nascent soul true lord, to know so much. To have raised 5 skills to the 3rd rank, encompassing all 4 mainstream cultivation arts. This made him curious to ask if Wang Lin, now in her soul state, was still capable of setting up arrays, refining pills, and refining artifacts. However, this question he planned to ask later, speaking out, Wang Lin, you're aware of my situation, aren't you? I'm aware of some of it. Wang Lin nodded in response. Now, with so many children at home, I don't have much time to instruct them in cultivation and skills, so I want to entrust this task to you, Lu Changxing contemplated aloud. Wang Lin will certainly fulfill the task and teach the young masters and misses of the house well. Wang Lin hadn't expected Lu Changxing to trust her so much that he would entrust such an important matter to her right from the start. After all, if Lu Changxing were to follow the path of the Saint King of Central Continent, establishing a kingdom within the family, these children would be the foundation. The cultivation and education of these children were of utmost importance. If she were able to properly instruct and nurture these children, it would be a significant contribution. Earlier, she was still considering how she might prove her worth to Lu Changxing. Seeing that Lu Changxing entrusted such an important matter to her now relieved her. Good, since that's the case, the cultivation issues of the children at home will be your responsibility from now on, Lu Changxing declared. He planned to organize the family's sutra pavilion when the time came and let Wang Lin be in charge. Or perhaps he would allow Lu Miaoyun to come teach the children with the ancient charm. Yes, young master, Wang Lin replied with a curtsy. She then spoke, Young master, this ancient charm where my soul resides is named the Ancient Beast Taming Charm. Chapter 745. Wang Lin's Past, the Effect of Ancient Runes. It's helpful for nurturing demon beasts. If the young master's pet beasts need cultivating, you can entrust them to me for nurturing. However, this ancient beast taming charm is very compatible with Ruyin. If possible, I hope the young master can continue to let Ruyin wear it. Wang Lin said this. Upon hearing that Elder Wang Lin was still looking out for her, Su Ruyin felt touched, and her guilt towards Wang Lin deepened. Ancient beast taming charm? Nurturing demon beasts? Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing felt a pause in his heart and his expression brightened with joy. He had just been wondering whether Wang Lin, as a top-tier, 3rd-rank beast tamer, knew how to cultivate a cold blue dark turtle, a 9 netherhound, or a 6-winged golden silkworm. Unexpectedly, Wang Lin took the initiative to mention an ancient beast taming charm that could assist in nurturing pet beasts. As for the matter of the ancient beast taming charm, I'll leave it to you, Wang Lin. Could you tell me what specific effects or functions this charm has? Lu Changxing asked. Although he recognized that the charm was a treasure, he didn't actually think of carrying it on himself. Because he had many secrets. If he carried the charm, would it not mean that Wang Lin could see everything, leaving no privacy or secrets? After all, though Wang Lin had pledged her allegiance, he still did not trust her much and needed Mount Sumeru to keep a close watch all the time. Thank you, young master. Seeing Lu Changxing agree so readily, Wang Lin was somewhat moved. On one hand, she made this request hoping to protect Su Ruyin through the charm. On the other hand, the charm's choice of Ruyin made her speculate that there must be some reason behind it all. She spoke up, currently, the charm only has 2 effects, taming demon beasts and nurturing them, which is why I call it the ancient beast taming charm. The charm likely has other secrets, like the beast technique cultivation method that Miss Su practices, which I obtained from this charm, Wang Lin said openly, without any concealment. Taming demon beasts, nurturing demon beasts, beast technique. Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow. The 2 effects of the charm sounded simple, but he found them to be extremely powerful. Because most Dao soldiers are made from demon beasts. This charm could tame and nurture demon beasts. It was simply a treasured item for cultivating Dao soldiers. He wanted his own Blackwater Dragon spirit weapon cultivated and thus asked aloud, Wang Lin, this charm should be able to nurture Dao soldiers, right? Any Dao soldier that is a demon beast can be nurtured, but the charm also needs to consume energy. If nurturing too many Dao soldiers, I might trouble the young master to provide spirit stones and heavenly and earthly treasures to replenish the charm's energy, Hong Lin said melodiously. That's not a problem as long as it can nurture, that's fine. Lu Changxing didn't mind the consumption of spirit stones or heavenly and earthly treasures. He laughed and said, "At the moment, there is a Dao soldier at my home that requires nurturing, and I'll trouble you with it when the time comes. By the way, may I take a look at that beast technique?" Through what he knew about Su Ruyan, he guessed that this cultivation technique involved cultivating through demon beasts. He currently had 4 pet beasts. Pet beasts like the cold blue dark turtle and the 9 netherhound were rather underwhelming due to their slow growth. If this cultivation technique could let someone improve talent through demon beasts, he could allow his children to practice it at home. He could let his children use the pet beasts he obtained from system draws to practice this cultivation technique. "Of course, you may, young master," Hong Lin said softly. Then she directed the ancient beast taming charm to Lu Changsheng's forehead, where it bloomed with colorful rays of light, and a cultivation technique emerged in Lu Changsheng's mind. After a while, beast technique. This cultivation technique is truly profound. Having briefly looked over the technique, Lu Changxing couldn't help feeling that it was incomparably mysterious. It was completely different from the few techniques he had acquired so far. If cultivated normally, it would be a mere common-level technique. But this technique could evolve. Through contracting with spirit beasts, the technique could evolve and ascend in rank. And the technique would tailor itself to the type of pet beast, fitting perfectly and thus aiding in breaking through cultivation bottlenecks. The stronger the bloodline potential of the spirit beast, the greater the enhancement of the technique. For example, by forming a contract with an Earth-grade bloodline spirit beast, this technique would then be about equivalent to a custom-tailored peripheral sect-level technique. If one could contract with a heavenly rank bloodline spirit beast, then the technique could be promoted to orthodox level. If one could contract with a true spirit, the technique could advance even further. This made Lu Changxing realize that the potential of this technique could even surpass that of orthodox-level cultivation techniques. Using it himself and contracting and refining the Mount Sumeru Tree King, he feared the technique could exceed the orthodox level. However, Lu Changxing had no intention of cultivating this technique. Firstly, cultivating this technique was very difficult. Not only did one need to comprehend the technique itself, but also the various accompanying techniques and divine skills would require much time to fathom. Cultivating this technique would be far less efficient than cultivating his 7 luminaries. Secondly, cultivating this technique would require investing a lot of time in nurturing demon beasts. Not to mention he didn't have this leisure. With the current state of the spirit vein at home, Mount Sumeru wouldn't be able to obtain much growth. So, using the Mount Sumeru Tree King for cultivation might be beneficial now, but it would become a burden later. Thirdly, it made more sense for the children at home to cultivate this technique, as the cost-performance ratio was obviously higher. Fourthly, Lu Changxing still held some expectations for the advanced level draw techniques within the system. He had obtained orthodox level cultivation techniques from the regular draws. The techniques from the advanced draws would obviously be higher than the orthodox level and wouldn't be weaker than this beast technique. This technique is not bad. Are there any restrictions on cultivating it? Lu Changxing withdrew his divine sense and asked Hong Lin. Young master, as long as one's comprehension is sufficient, and naturally if one has decent talent in beast taming even better, said Hong Lin. All right, let's leave it at that for now, said Lu Changxing. Come with me to seize the spirit weapon, he said without further inquiry. Yes, young master, replied Hong Lin, before his faint form dissipated, turning into red light points that returned to the ancient beast taming charm. The charm quietly landed in front of Lu Changxing. Lu Changxing reached out and picked up the charm. The material of this ancient charm was unknown. Unlike gold or jade, nor like stone or wood, it felt curiously soft and comfortable in his hand. With the charm in hand, Lu Changxing walked out of Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven and went to his own fish farm. Su Ruyan felt a sense of emptiness as she saw Lu Changxing take away the charm and leave. But thinking about the attitude of the venerable Wang Lin in front of Lu Changxing, she felt an indescribable sense of frustration and discomfort. It was as if one's cherished love was taken away, powerless to stop it and having to watch as that love catered and sacrificed itself for someone else. Moreover, during the process, one had to... It was like a knife twisting in her heart. Chapter 746, Family Heritage Enhancement, Conditions to Return to the Peak. Under Wang Lin, can these Dao soldiers of mine, beings of the aquatic kind, be placed into the ancient beast taming charm? Lu Changsheng pointed at the blackwater dragon fish and blackwater dragon serpents in the fish farm and spoke aloud. My lord, there's no problem, Wang Lin communicated to Lu Changsheng through divine sense. Subsequently, the ancient charm flew out, its colorful radiance pervading the area, collecting all 21 blackwater dragon fish and 18 blackwater dragon serpents from the fish farm within it. My lord, currently, the space within the ancient charm can roughly enhance the growth rate of the Dao soldiers by 30%. Should the energy be sufficient and if cultivated with full effort, the increase can reach double. Wang Lin's voice continued to ring out. 30%, double. Lu Changxing nodded his head. This rate of growth may sound ordinary, but in reality, it is quite exaggerated. These demon beasts, having been refined into Dao soldiers, are already equipped with methods of cultivation, making their growth speed faster than that of ordinary demon beasts. On top of that, to have such an enhancement in their growth rate, it is truly astonishing. In other words, with full effort in nurturing them, it is estimated that in 30 to 40 years, a considerable number of Dao soldiers will be able to advance to the second rank. By then, Bai Ling would have already broken through the foundation establishment stage, commanding these Dao soldiers, likely possessing the combat power to contend with core formation. However, thinking of Bai Ling's temperament, Lu Changxing felt there must be a few among his children capable of cultivating the Black Dragon Codex, otherwise, it would be somewhat wasteful for these Dao soldiers. Wang Lin, aside from spirit stones, what heavenly materials and earthly treasures do you need? Lu Changxing put away the ancient charm and asked aloud. He was not concerned whether Wang Lin wished to use this as a means to restore her soul and strength. As long as she could properly nurture his family's spiritual beasts and Dao soldiers, and her demand for spirit stones was not excessive, everything was negotiable. After all, as long as it was within the domain of the Mount Summerer Tree King at Bai Lake Mountain, she presumably wouldn't be able to play any tricks. My lord, in terms of heavenly materials and earthly treasures, mainly monster cores and spiritual medicine, Wang Lin spoke and indicated that the ancient beast taming charm could absorb monster cores and spiritual medicines, transforming them into some kind of spiritual liquid that aids in the growth of demon beasts. Monster cores, spiritual medicines, good. Lu Changxing nodded once again, transforming into an escape light that returned to the alchemy room at Bai Yun Peak. Seeing his daughter still sleeping soundly on the couch, his eyes revealed a touch of tenderness. He then took out 10,000 spirit stones, several monster cores, and a pile of spiritual medicines from 2 storage bags. The spoils he had obtained from the 6 robber cultivators causing trouble in Red Leaf Valley Market had not yet been dealt with or converted into spirit stones. Because dealing with them was not only troublesome, but also he would have to sell at a lower price. Right now, he was not in need of money. With his family's support, he could slowly process them or gradually sell them through other channels. You keep these spirit stones and spiritual medicines first, and let me know if you need more later, Lu Changxing said to Wang Lin. Yes, my lord, Wang Lin responded softly. Looking at the pill furnace in the center of the alchemy room, she felt somewhat astonished and doubtful. She had not expected Lu Changxing to also be skilled in alchemy. She had chatted with Su Ruyan before and had not heard that Lu Changxing possessed alchemy skills. Afterwards, she saw Lu Changxing, with his movements gentle and cautious and a face full of affection, cradle Lu Wangshu in his arms. Rumors say that the Dragon Emperor body not only makes nurturing children easier, but the offspring are also likely to be born with exceptional talents. As Wang Lin thought of the rumors about the Dragon Emperor body, she had a thought. She had previously been with Su Ruyan and seen Lu Wangshu. But at that time, she only sensed her from a distance and did not scrutinize her closely. Now seeing how much Lu Changxing doted on this daughter, Hong Lian couldn't help but observe her seriously. This little girl, she must possess some kind of latent spiritual body. After observing for a while, Hong Lian felt a surge of astonishment as she noticed something unusual about Lu Wangshu. Although she couldn't determine what specific spiritual body Lu Wangshu possessed, she could tell she likely had some kind of spiritual body. This revelation left her extremely surprised. Spiritual bodies are rare, 1 in a million. And through her conversations with Su Ruyan, she knew that the talents of Lu Changsheng's wives and concubines were nothing noteworthy. In such circumstances, to have a daughter casually possessing a rare and uncommon spiritual body was astonishing. Is this the power of the Dragon Emperor body? Truly terrifying, Hong Lian mumbled to herself, no longer doubting the truth of Lu Changsheng's Dragon Emperor body. Yet, she couldn't help but be curious about how many of Lu Changsheng's 100+ children possessed exceptional talents. Inside the alchemy room, Lu Changxing held his daughter Lu Wangshu in one arm while drawing talismans with the other hand. Hong Lian watched Lu Changsheng's talisman-making skill flow like water, and she was mildly taken aback again. Because she could clearly see that Lu Changsheng's talisman-making skill was nearly at the level of Dao, absolutely proficient. Even though her talisman-making skill was at the 3rd rank, she dared not say that she could draw 2nd-rank talismans as smoothly as Lu Changxing did. What kind of existence was he in his previous life? His spiritual root talent is merely low-grade, yet his skills and talents are so terrifying. Hong Lian was inwardly astonished. As a nascent soul true monarch, there were hardly any matters that could make her stirred on a regular basis. But today, everything about Lu Changxing left her incessantly wondering and moved. She felt as if the man before her was like a fog. The more she observed, the deeper and more unfathomable he seemed, making her, a nascent soul true monarch, unable to see through him. As time slowly passed, the sky began to lighten. Lu Wangshu woke up, bleary-eyed, and stretched languidly. Seeing that Lu Changxing was still holding her, she immediately beamed and said cheerfully, "Daddy, good morning." "Hee, you're awake." Lu Changxing looked at his daughter and his mood naturally improved as he gently pinched her chubby, fair cheek. "But, Daddy, what about alchemy, the alchemy? Why didn't you wake me up?" Lu Wangshu looked around and, remembering about the elixir medicines, thought that Lu Changxing had already finished making them, pouting in a grievance. Chapter 747, Family Heritage Enhancement, Conditions to Return to the Peak. The elixir medicines aren't ready yet. Look, they will be ready soon. Seeing his daughter in this state, Lu Changsheng's face showed an indulgent smile. He then set her down and struck a series of spells towards the alchemy furnace, reactivating the sealed furnace. As the flames in the furnace rekindled, the spiritual mechanism of the alchemy furnace surged, and Lu Changxing exclaimed softly, "Open!" Boom! Billowing heat waves spread from the alchemy furnace, and after a moment, a stream of spiritual light flew out into Lu Changsheng's hand. "Wow, Daddy, you're so amazing. I want to see, I want to see." By his side, Lu Wangshu, upon seeing this, immediately clapped her hands with excitement, wanting to see the elixir medicines in Lu Changsheng's hand. Lu Changsheng chuckled, squatted down, and handed the crystal-clear and plump spirit-nurturing elixirs to his daughter to see. "It smells so good, Daddy. Can I eat one?" Lu Wangshu said, unable to resist biting her finger as she looked at the elixir medicines. Lu Changxing glanced at his daughter. Immediately, he said, "These spirit-nurturing elixirs are for the turtle to eat. We can't eat them. If you want to eat, you can only eat this candy bean." While talking, Lu Changxing took out an elemental elixir to feed to his daughter. But Lu Wangshu still kept eyeing the spirit-nurturing elixirs in his hand, wanting to taste one. In the end, Lu Changxing, holding his daughter, left the alchemy room, fed a spirit-nurturing elixir to the cold blue dark turtle, and told her that these candy beans were not for her to eat. Lu Wangshu then gave up the idea of tasting them. Looking at the cold blue dark turtle in front of him, Lu Changxing wondered whether to apply the ancient beast taming charm for nurturing. But considering that his daughter would still need to feed and play with it every day, he decided against it for the time being. He planned to visit Rui Prefecture later and bring the 9 Netherhound back to nurture it with the ancient beast taming charm. Otherwise, more than 20 years had passed, and the 9 Netherhound was still at the late stage of first grade. He didn't know how long it would take to break through to the second rank. Hong Lian, in your current state, are you still able to refine elixirs or cast techniques? After handing his daughter to Chu Xinzhen, Lu Chongsheng asked Hong Lian. If Hong Lian was currently able to perform alchemy, artifact refining, talisman making, and array setting, it would be of great help to him and to the entire Bai Lake Mountain. My lord, in my current state, my spirit is weakened, and I cannot stay away from the ancient beast taming charm for long, so I can only refine some simple elixir medicines. If my lord's needs aren't high, I can do a bit of alchemy, artifact refining, talisman making, and array setting. Hong Lian said so. Good, later I will give you the cultivation method of the spirit weapon, and from now on, you will handle this matter. Lu Changsheng said, planning to entrust the nurturing of the Blackwater Dragon spirit weapon to Hong Lian. Yes, my lord. Hong Lian responded. Back in Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, Lu Changsheng looked at Su Ruyin, who was still bound in the air with her delicate and cold features, shining supple hair, snow-white radiant skin, wearing only a fiery red dress with golden phoenix embroidery, her expression one of amusement, and said, Miss Su, have you decided? Su Ruyin shuddered upon hearing this and after a long while, said in a low voice, I have decided. Decided what? Lu Changsheng's eyebrows raised as he asked. Sigh. Hong Lian within the ancient beast taming charm sighed softly. She knew that at this juncture, it was all up to Su Ruyin herself. If she could overcome this obstacle, she could turn a dire situation into an opportunity. If not, there was nothing Hong Lian could do to help. I am willing to serve Lu. Master, as a slave and a maid, Su Ruyin said with clenched teeth, struggling through her words. The time Lu Changsheng had left with Hong Lian felt like years to her, as she was constantly battling internally. She knew that Lu Changsheng and Senior Hong Lian were right. She was indeed a captive. Hoping to leave this place clean and unscathed was simply not possible. He could easily have her if he wanted. What was the point of her struggling? So, she could only hope that he would keep his promises, which would be a considerable fortune amidst the misfortune. Mount Sumeru. Lu Changsheng watched as Su Ruyin lowered her proud head and chuckled lightly. In an instant, Su Ruyin, who had been bound, fell from the air. Her long, snow-white legs slightly wobbled, and she stumbled as she landed in front of Lu Changsheng, causing her chest to quiver. Truly pitiable. I remember when I first met Miss Su at the Zheng family, she had an air of elegant nobility, Lu Changsheng said as he stood in front of Su Ruyin, the two of them very close to each other, nearly brushing her delicate nose. He extended his hand, stroked her forehead gently, and twined a few strands of her fiery red shiny hair around his finger, saying, to transform the esteemed pearl of the Su family into an obedient and docile maidservant has indeed some unique allure for Lu. Upon hearing these words, Su Ruyin felt a sharp pain in her heart. Her proud self-esteem seemed to be trampled by Lu Changsheng. Once upon a time, she was the esteemed pearl of the Su family. Whether it was within the family or outside, everyone was courteous to her, let alone touching her like this. And now, she was being played with at will by Lu Changsheng. She wanted to slap his hand away and reprimand him fiercely. But she knew that Lu Changsheng was doing this on purpose, to make her submit, so she had to endure it. Miss Su, do you know the proper attitude of a maidservant? Lu Changsheng eyed Su Ruyin, who stood tall and graceful, with disheveled hair and a strong, defiant look in her eyes. He lifted her delicate chin teasingly and said, yet in his heart he couldn't help but feel a dark desire that every man harbors, to pull a high-born fairy down to hell, to dominate and play with her at will. Although the Su Ruyin before him did not possess the untouchable and lofty status of a fairy, as the pearl of the Su family, her status was indeed noble. Especially during their first meeting, she left him with a rather good impression. Thus, seeing her currently standing in front of him with a stubborn and humiliated expression, being toyed by him, truly had its own unique flavor.